Yeah, that's right. That's that live studio audience right now on their feet. Guys, I want to say something. I want to say thank you to everybody, by the way. As you guys know, CrossFire wasn't on last week, and it was Mooch's birthday weekend, so I appreciate all the happy birthdays and the great messages that you guys sent throughout Twitter, YouTube. I've gotten in all the comment sections. It's been fantastic. Really, truly, thank you guys so much. It meant the world to me. And shout out to Wraith The Emperor, who just also resubscribed. Mooch Maniac family member. Ben won for what, 8 months, 9 months? Wraith, it feels like we're cousins at this point, to be really honest with you. Guys, that being said, so much is going on. I've been saying this to you guys for quite some time now, and I just want to make it kind of official. Kind of, because you always got to leave the door. Never speak in absolutes. But I will say this much. We literally are going to have some great new content coming to the channel as of next week and on twitch.tv. Same thing, the Mooch78. Please go over there after the show, subscribe or follow, whichever it's follow over there, pardon me. Subscription is something different on Twitch, so I get my terminology right. But nonetheless, a lot of things coming up next week that I'm going to be been working on for months, like literally months, thanks to @JMatrix, the great JMatrix76, and a few others that I will be naming as we go through everything. But as we go through, I do want to remind everybody also that ACS Husk, you guys know Husk, he's doing the creator content. I'll be on his show tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Eastern time. So look on Twitter and follow me on Twitter to know when that actually goes live. We'll be promoting that all through the day. But let me just do a roll call out and say thank you so much to the Mooch Maniac family members. You guys, it means the world to me. It really does. I see some of the happy birthday Mooches in the chat right now. Guys, thank you very much. Andy Hart, I see a bunch of you guys that are great. Shout out to Strictly. Great to have Strictly here, too. Guys, tweet it out as well. Please let everybody know that we are legitimately live. Let everybody know we are live. Wraith The Emperor says, happy belated birthday, Cousin Mooch. Absolutely. And the super chat's working. Thank you, Wraith. But let me shout each one of these guys out because it really means a lot to me. Shout out to Sir X-Man, JudaZuk, WoolleyGamer, Frostbite Slash, Zombilla Ice Cream, Custods, MumbleRanting Gaming, Tyson Web 509, All Round Gamer, TrueWiddy, Kn1ght Ripper7, Big Chuck 777, Alphonso Carter, Punkidish, BRAP, you guys might be hearing from him shortly, Jamie, Lady Foxfire, check out Lady Foxfire, she's also doing a stream later on tonight, Replicant, Damion, Evan, Fassbender, fantastic name, and of course, Cousin Emperor, Wraith that is, Major Mooch Maniacs, SrgntSaltyNutz, Donnell Brown, Smokes901, DatGuySmitty, 4-star General, Brian B, aka Delirium Blades, and VIP Mooch Maniacs. Great to have these guys back. This means so much. Great to have Rated D Demonic back at home. Forkboy Gaming, Tactical Gamer, SlaynChilean, Shaun Slamka, The Wise Old Gamer, Windingo Rex, Bryant Carter, Marty Bison, MexJ88, Remarkable Knights, The Great Percolator 9000, which I played some Halo with earlier today, and our honorable mention, SupremeSamurai, we miss you so much, HumaCast, JWE316, Rich Kreischer, Ice Queen Gaming, now known as Dark Queen Gaming, WilmyHood, and the forever Mooch Maniac Longshot 316. And let me just say thank you again also. Outstanding. Frostbite Slash, also a member for 14 months. 14 months! Looking forward to the show. Frostbite, thank you so much. I hope that we always give you the great content and the reason that you subscribe for. Guys, again, tweet it out. The link is right below. Let everybody know that you're here. That being said, let's get to this panel and these amazing topics. We've had a lot of news. A lot of news. Shout out to JT Gamers. It's Mooch, my 60th birthday. Happy birthday to JT Gamer. Great to have JT here as well. Guys, let me start with the one and only. And you know what's funny? He'll take a break off Twitter, but I got to tell you something. If you haven't watched Crap Gamer on Twitter the past 48 hours, my friend, you're all missing out on tremendous content. The great Crap Gamer. Crap, you've been on fire. It is great to have you here this evening.
Blood in the water. I'm like a shark.
Yes.
When you can tell, right? Like, and that's when I have the most fun, right? Like, you can't take it seriously, but you can tell when a certain side of gaming is very much worried.
Yes.
Or, when one side's getting all the news and the other side's not. And so that's the time to kind of jump on it and have the most fun because the reactions are just priceless.
Your timing is spectacular.
Oh, no. Yeah. And then people are like, no, nobody cares. But then you look at some little joke and then there's like thousands of interactions or whatever. You could just tell. So it's all fun for me, but it's always good to be here. And I got to say though, as far as weeks go, Sony had a pretty damn good week. And, I think that, obviously there's a lot to talk about, which I can't wait to get into, but yeah, it should be a hell of a show. I'm excited.
I'm looking forward to it myself, my friend, and I can't wait. Shout out to these guys. Look at these guys doing some birthday wishes. Shout out to Jimmy Harrison. Jimmy, always great to have you here. Jim's just been a big big Mooch Maniac supporter for so long. He says, happy belated birthday, Mooch. Love you guys. Let's get it. Jimmy, thank you. And shout out to Strictly, which is great because I met Strictly through Persona. Shout out to Persona and Jay Barry who are going to have Shaun Layden on the show tomorrow. Yeah, so shout out to Persona and Barry.
Good interviews, man.
That's going to be fantastic, right? That's exactly what I'm looking forward to. Strictly says, just showing love to the homie. Love your content, man. Happy Friday. And again, happy birthday, G. Strictly, thank you so much. That truly means the world to me. Thank you. But I got another buddy here that you guys just all know. And I got news for you. This might be his show. I might have to rename the entire thing. Just Crossfire and then Xbot 448's show. Okay? Because we're going to be talking a lot about Halo. And the man knows his Halo. The great Xbot 448, the Xbox defense lawyer, is here tonight. Xbot, how are you doing this evening?
Yo, what's going on, Mooch? What is up, panel? And of course, what is going on, chat? Guys, it is a good time to be on Xbox. Not only am I going to be on Crossfire tonight, and then when I get off, I'm going into big team battle with the Halo Infinite Flight. But last night I started playing Scarlet Nexus.
Yeah,
and that was a game I had my eye on.
Same here.
Couldn't swing to pick it up, throw that money down. But with Game Pass, man, and what they're doing, and just when you think it's about to calm down, they drop more games in there, more games that I want to play, man. It is a great time, and it is good to be here. I can't wait to talk about Halo, man. Let's go.
Absolutely, Xbot, and I'm glad to hear that enthusiasm because that's what I love to hear from you. And then I've got another buddy here, another usual suspect. You guys know him as Basement Radio Arcade Podcast. Thank God he's not Danny Dimes tonight. He spaces BRAP. Welcome back to the show, buddy. How are you this evening?
Double kill. I'm doing great.
That's so good.
Excited.
You could literally take that guy's job.
No, it's actually in the works. 343, I reached out to me and they're like, hey, the guy that does the voice, he's kind of like, it's days are numbered.
Yes.
Wink, wink.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Who's counting?
No, great. Yeah, right. Great to be here. And happy birthday again, Mooch.
Appreciate that, buddy. Thank you so much. And I've got a couple special guests here. And just so you know, we do have another special guest. He's on his way, taking care of some family stuff, but he is going to be here shortly. But let me start with one of the guys here that I got to tell you. So it's funny. He says, Mooch, thank you so much for the invite. And we've been talking all week. And he says, this is going to be great. And we're going back and forth. But he's been doing these 2-minute clips on Twitter. And, he's caught everybody by storm. And when he does a 2-minute clip and he does the news, it's outstanding. People just stop what they're doing. They put everything down, food down, work down. They pull over if they're driving and they listen to him. The great Oti is here with us tonight. Oti, welcome to the show. I'm also hoping we didn't get a chance to do a sound check. Oti, I'm hoping that your sound is working. You did switch your Discord over to the PC. Welcome to the show. We can't wait to hear your takes live on air. How are you this evening?
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yes, I'm also going to put your sound up a bit because I have a feeling they're going to say they might not be able to, but we can hear you, which is fantastic.
Good. Hey, happy birthday, man.
Thanks
so much for inviting me. For me, it's just been crazy since last year. Just basically putting out 2-minute videos, speaking the truth, and killing them with facts. That's it. Facts and a little bit of humor. But thanks so much for inviting me onto the show.
Absolutely. Otin, let me tell you something. I think a lot of what you're going to see tonight, I sent the topics out to you guys. A lot of these are, I actually specifically went through and looked at a few of the last few, I call them rants that you went on, and I actually specifically put them in there because I know that these are going to be topics that really hit home for you. So I'm excited to hear you live and doing it right here for more than 2 minutes. That being said,
nice.
Another individual that also wrote me last week, and it was great to hear from him because, I got to be honest with you, this next special guest is somebody that I have listened to on multiple podcasts. He's been on multiple podcasts. He's hosted many spaces. As a matter of fact, he is a workhorse. He literally just did a space before this podcast. That's how committed he is to gaming. He knows what he's talking about. He's very, very passionate about it. The great Omar, you guys know him as Karaba. Omar, welcome to the show finally. Shame on me for not having you on sooner, but I can tell you right now, this will not be the last time you're on the show. So, Omar, welcome to the show, and how are you this evening?
No, thank you for having me. Stop panel, stop chat. Shame on me for not interacting with you earlier. That's on me.
I appreciate it.
I was building my own catalog, as you can say. As for the spaces, I started genuinely recently. As the only reason why I did one is because a dude by the name of Cheat Code, don't know if you know him or not.
Yes.
He wanted to host one, but for some reason he is not capable of hosting spaces. So I took it over and I hosted one, and we had kind of like 10-hour stream.
Yeah. Now, Spaces, you started at 8 a.m. the other day, and it went until the wee hours of the night. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, it was like when you're talking gaming, genuine gaming. I'm not talking about console war stuff or stuff like that.
Mhm.
No, genuine gaming, how to change the industry, stuff like that. Like time flies.
Oh, I
We had
completely agree.
couple of issues with fanboys coming in trying to stir the pot, but we got rid of that quick and we continued our conversation. It was genuine fantastic.
Well, there's
before,
no stopping those,
coming in-
Omar.
Yeah, before coming in, I shit code again. He started to become my partner in crime. He started. He wanted to host one talking about remake and remasters. Are they good for the industry or not? And what's the best one? And I was like, okay, fine, I'll do. I create one. I created one, and believe it or not, it's still going on right now. But I am still the host at the space, but I'm just muted, so I can be here.
Well, Omar, what I need you to do is just quietly pull the plug on that and go ahead and usher everybody right into this fantastic chat that we have in our show that we got going on right now, Omar.
I would love to do so. I even tweeted out, but I am not going to disrespect them like that. But I would have done it.
Yes.
I would have done it.
Go ahead, Brad.
Let me just say something real quick. Omar runs a tight ship when it comes to spaces.
Absolutely.
You bring fuckery into his spaces, he's going to tell you to shut up and then kick you out. He doesn't play around.
No.
Omar, thank you for that, by the way.
You have to set the example.
I'm allergic for fuckery. I don't need that. Like when I'm having a fantastic conversation, leave it at fantastic conversation. Don't come defend the dude when you know nothing about it.
That's correct.
Simple.
It is. It really is. It truly is. And the Spaces has been great. I think it's added.
Ready, man. Let's go.
You ready? Xbox ready to go. Okay. Well, let me say. I'm going to try and keep this PG. Right now, I'll keep the show PG-13. We got a super chat here from. I'm going to call it. Well, what the hell? We'll just say penetration specialist. He says, hello, friends. Thank you so much. And the great Andy Hart is here. He says, my opinion, Halo is overrated. It's Gears all day for me. Andy Hart being a big gearhead, so that's awesome. Let me start with OT here because I really want to get his opinion on this. And OT, correct me. I don't know. What time is it right now for you?
It's 2:30.
2:30 in the morning, correct? I was going to say 2:30. Okay, that's
1:30
unbelievable. So we have
me in the morning, so we feel it.
Absolutely.
We know how we feel.
So shout out to OT. OT, let me start with you and just say this much. Let's talk about just what we already know. And I'm doing this as a top layer, and then I have many levels of the onion to peel back on this topic. Okay. But Sony completed their purchase of the well-known, very talented Blue Point Games. Everybody knows about that. And Herman Hulst definitely gave a bit of a suggestion, if you will, that there are more purchases that could be on the way. And I want to just make this caveat that he said that they would be coming on the way if they found that the resource that developing team would work towards their portfolio and help the way that they envision their product moving forward. Very specific kind of tools need to be kind of like features need to come, a set from that developing team to come into the PlayStation family. So that being said, I just want to get a top level. What do you think about the acquisition? And do you think Sony is done? And do you think Sony needs any more as far as developers?
I think I think Sony, being the lesser financially rich company, has to make sure every acquisition hits the bullseye. So for me, Bethesda, and I'm not trying to make this fanboy stuff, but to be honest, Bethesda was a very good buy for Xbox. But for my gaming tastes, it was a zero. I've only bought one Bethesda game in 6 years. So when you see Blue Point, I mean, they are a technical marvel. When you see Housemarque, the gameplay is just insane. For me, that's still my game of the year in terms of concept and what they're trying to do. And then so it was Blue Point, Housemarque, which was the last Insomniac
games.
Insomniac, you don't even need to ask. I mean, that was 250 million. Bethesda was 7.5 billion. You know, somebody might question maybe Dream outplayed Phil in terms of how to use money. You know, so the thing is,
Well,
for me,
7.5 billion was for ZeniMax, which was just Bethesda was just part of it. You got id Software, Machine Games, like there's a
yeah,
whole list of developers.
but okay, the purpose of buying these studios is to enrich your portfolio, and I think both have done the right thing. But I think Sony's acquisitions will result in people, let me say, PlayStation gamers being more satisfied. Because the reality is, if Xbox had an opportunity to get Insomniac is going crazy right now. So it's not that Xbox did a bad thing, but I think Sony have made more strategic purchases that suit their audience. At the same time, I still think they need to buy more studios, because I don't know where Xbox will be in 2 to 3 years. They might start producing very good games, and I don't think this is enough, because if they start hitting their stride, Microsoft is hungry and they have the money. So they'll just keep on buying. So
Right.
Sony definitely need to buy.
So I like where you kind of went with that. And Xbot, you made a good point there. I don't think that you're wrong at all. Although the one thing that OT said that I think rings home with a certain fan base is that I think Sony's purchases are a little bit more strategic, and let me explain what I mean. Microsoft went and bought an entire publisher, right? They bought the entire ZeniMax family, and they did it this is by the way, guys, this is not late breaking news, okay? They did this because they need to fill Game Pass. They need a lot of studios.
All their moves are Game Pass based. Like, and anything Xbox is doing right now, it's all for. And
I'm glad you said
Game
that,
Pass.
Xbot, and I'm going to ask a question, and I want to get Omar in here too. But let me ask you a question. You just said it. All the purchases, or majority, we should never say all, right? Never speak in absolutes on the internet. But right, majority of these purchases are based around Game Pass in mind. We know that. Yeah. Doesn't that somewhat say to you, they're definitely going for more of the quality. I shouldn't just say over quantity. That's not fair. So I won't go there. But you can see when you are trying to grab a large amount of something and pull it in, you get a lot of debris along with the gems. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? So like when you go to the beach and you're looking for like pearls or something like that, and you're going through and you're looking, you pick up a lot of sand for one. Yeah, see, right? You pick up a lot of seaweed and sand, especially on the East Coast, and then you get that one pearl or that one, valuable.
Jellyfish.
So that's the thing when you're going in and grabbing something as big as a Bethesda, when you have OT and a lot of people now on Twitter, I shouldn't put OT on the stand there, that say, you know what, I like one game in particular from Bethesda, but I've never liked all their games. I mean, is that, do you have a rebuttal to that kind of mind thought?
But yeah, well, see, that whole thing, when it comes to what Xbox is trying to do, and it's with Game Pass, with a subscription service, you definitely want to catch as many types of gamers out there as possible. So Bethesda might not be a thing for you, Mooch, or for OT, or even anybody on the
parts
panel.
of Bethesda are for me, for sure.
But you look at id Software, like how many people don't like the new Dooms that have come out recently, 2016 and Doom Eternal. If you didn't like that, well, what did you think about Wolfenstein? You see what I'm saying? So like, when it comes down to it, they're bringing in these studios. They have 23 studios now. And if you notice, each studio definitely has their own personality. You look at Double Fine, who likes to do kind of like the smaller, quirky type titles. Psychonauts 2, absolutely fun game to play. Platformer, stuff like that. It's definitely way different than what Bethesda does, or id does, or Playground does. You see what I'm saying? So they're bringing in a bunch of studios that they've had, studios that they've acquired. So this way they have a variety of games in their subscription service that will interest the broader line of people. People who are into RPGs, people who are in the first person shooters. Like, everybody's like looking at it like, oh, okay, well, what's this have for me? I think that's their whole thing with acquiring studios. Where with Sony, I think Insomniac was an absolute, like, that was the bomb purchase. That was the best development studio that they have acquired. When it comes to Bluepoint, the majority of their work is remastered collections and stuff like that. They did come out with one game that was their own game, and it was back in 2006 when it was founded. It was called Blast Factor.
Okay.
Basically, it's an over the top. It looks like kind of like Geometry Wars type game, or Asteroids. but something of that nature. So when it comes to Blue Point, I'm interested to see what they can do.
Okay.
The rumor is that they are working on a new IP, basically an IP that they're creating, and a remaster at the same time right now.
Remake, you
So-
mean?
Oh, remake. Okay.
Yes.
So
Remake of
So-
a popular franchise. Yes.
yeah. So
Or
for
game.
people who thought that, Blue Point was done doing remakes and stuff, well, that the rumor is they're still doing a remake with the new IP. I think the interesting thing to see is what they are going to do with their new IP, what they are going to create, because they are really good at looking at like the old games and bringing kind of like the graphics and everything like up to today's standards and even beyond. I know Demon Souls looked incredible graphically. When it came down to the gameplay didn't change, because why would you change that for people who are fans of that game? You know what I'm saying? And they did that, I believe, with Shadow of the Colossus as well. So it'd be interesting to see what they come up with themselves, But now PlayStation has another studio that not only do they specialize in remakes and remasters, but they can also create new IP as well.
Exactly. Let me read the super chat, and then I want to hear Omar's take. Or BRAP, you can chime in as well. I want to. Viper XT just says, and this is an interesting take. I see where he's coming from, but I think it's very easily disputable. He says, and pardon me, Sony out there making purchases to change nothing in the landscape. Studios that already only made games basically for PlayStation. Status
That's
quo.
true.
So I see where he's coming from with that. And Viper, I'm not going to say you're wrong.
Organic.
Say again, Crap. Go ahead.
It's called organic. They're buying these studios organic that have organically been with them. It's not hurting the industry whatsoever, but it could potentially help them long run, because we see that there's a lot of places that are trying to acquire content, and you don't want one of these groups that have been working with you for a decade to get acquired out from underneath your nose. So that's what they're doing.
Blue Point didn't only work on PlayStation. They actually did the port for Titanfall.
That's kind of Crap's point.
Well.
That's what I'm saying. It's not hurting Xbox at all, because that was 2013 or 2014. So in 7 years, they've only done PlayStation exclusives, so it's not hurting anybody. It's literally not. Same thing with like a Playground Games acquisition by Microsoft. Playground Games had literally never made games for anybody else but Xbox. So it literally
that was organic then?
It hurts nobody. Yeah, completely organic.
Right.
Yeah.
Mooch.
Go ahead.
Can I just answer that question?
Sure,
the question he's asking. Currently, PlayStation is doing very well in terms of outselling Xbox. So some business moves are made to secure that current success. It doesn't need to, because the truth is this: Insomniac, Housemarque, and Bluepoint joining PlayStation secures people like me. Make sure that I will always need a PlayStation.
Great point.
Now, if Xbox went and bought Insomniac, Housemarque, and Bluepoint, then I will need an Xbox. So it may seem like it's just status quo, but actually it's a blow to Microsoft, because Colin Moriarty said these are the last few studios that Sony needed to purchase to secure their own audience. And it's because right now, if Microsoft go and buy another studio, I won't be like, I really needed it, unless they go for Square Enix or something. But sometimes these moves are made to secure your success, and I think that's what Sony has done.
Yeah.
And real quick, Mooch. So I heard like strategic moves. I mean, both of these moves are strategic. Like the Bethesda acquisition is strategic for Microsoft, and the Bluepoint acquisition is strategic for PlayStation. And the thing is that people have to remember, like, the strategy behind both companies is slightly different. Where Microsoft is obviously buying publishers or developers to put games into Game Pass. Like Game Pass is the Xbox exclusive, quote unquote, now is the platform. It's not about the console anymore. It's not about selling consoles as much as it is selling subscriptions. So that's why they made Bethesda. That move makes sense for them. This move for Sony makes sense for Sony in the sense that they have, like what Odie said, is that, Bluepoint in some ways, and they done like, they did the Titanfall port, and they did another port for, I think, a multi-plat game on both, I think, 360 and PlayStation 3, but I don't remember what that was. But they
Metal Gear Solid HD collection.
Yes, that's it. Thank you, Xbot. So, but they've been synonymous with the PlayStation brand. Same thing with Housemarque. So, Sony is locking in these studios who've had long-term relationships. Insomniac, right?
Yes. It's organic.
because it's organic. It's,
I like that word.
That's
great. Organic.
But no, like both of them like are very.
Most importantly, though, I'll let you finish. It's not disrupting the industry, right? It's not like you if you were already a PlayStation fan, you're just getting more of that, right? You're not losing anything. You can't go, damn, now I'm not gonna get such and such if you're an Xbox owner, right? Like it's not.
Yeah, but it comes. It barrels down crap to what you said earlier. Is that with everything getting scooped up these days, what they did was they solidified the fact that Microsoft or another company, wouldn't go in and take a Blue Point because they are a talented team.
Yeah,
and
they're definitely a talented team. I mean, for sure. They, I think even the Uncharted collection or whatever that was really good for remasters on short notice. They were able to get that done because if you remember, they kind of had to hot foot that.
Yes.
Like they were because Sony had nothing at that particular time. Remember, that was their big holiday release that year, and it was pretty damn well done. But it's just funny to me that they never really got the credit that I think they deserve because to remaster something is one thing, but the way that they remade, I didn't play Demon's Souls, but it looked night and day better than the original.
Well,
and
crap.
Same thing,
The most impressive remake they did was actually Shadow of the Colossus.
Yeah, I love that. I got that game day one. It was
great. That game did not. That game was super ambitious on the PlayStation 2.
Yeah.
And when it came out, it was well received, but it was so ambitious. And Blue Point, I mean, my understanding wasn't as simple as just like a port or remake or whatever.
It might have been one of the best looking top 5 looking games last generation. It looks fantastic.
They had to redo a lot of the assets, bring it up to speed. I mean, it was pretty intensive
and tighten up the controller a little bit.
They kept the mechanics original though, right?
No, they actually tightened up the controllers a lot because the original Shadow Colossus, the controllers were like tank controllers.
Yeah, that's what Omar was saying.
I remember the promotion saying that they basically, they kept kind of like the original mechanic. They might have made it tighter or whatnot, but they kept it for the original fans of the games.
Mooch, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Karaba. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, sorry. I was just making sure my mic was working. Sorry about that.
No, I heard you. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. So yeah, one thing I'm focusing on is a few things. First, I have the feeling before Bethesda bought ZeniMax, I meant Microsoft bought ZeniMax, there was this unwritten rule that you don't buy publishers. And the second Microsoft bought Bethesda, ZeniMax, PlayStation have been not per se on the offensive, but more like buying a lot more studios than before. We have not seen PlayStation be this aggressive last generation. And you can contribute that to a couple of things. First off, you had Shuei Yoshida state that one of his biggest regrets is not buying from software when he had the choice. So that's key one. Key two, with PlayStation, with Microsoft buying Bethesda, that was for PlayStation. Yeah, no. If we don't do something, we're gonna be screwed the way we got screwed when Microsoft bought Ninja Theory. Because love it or hate it, Microsoft's acquisition of Ninja Theory was fantastic. And I genuinely blow for PlayStation, knowing that PlayStation was the one that funded Hellblade and gave them funding and stuff like that.
Well, Omar, you say that, but I do have to, and I know that this was something that came up with Colin Moriarty in a clip that he had going around for a while, but I do, until he actually said it, I never really sat there. And I have to say, you made a point when you said, PlayStation funded, Hellblade and all that. That's true. So in one way, as far as the war is concerned, which everybody say there isn't a war, there certainly is, content wars. There is a war there. That jab you're talking about, it exists. But I do also agree with Colin in his sentiment that Ninja Theory, what is Ninja Theory really bringing to Xbox right now? Xbox even said himself that a lot of the predominant purchases are going to help Game Pass. This is a team that even though they've added people, they've added talent, okay? this is a team that's definitely going to take anywhere from probably 3 to 5 years to put out one game. And if it's anything like the original, it's a shorter game with definitely paying attention to visuals. There wasn't a whole lot of worried about gameplay. I mean, you guys know I beat Hellblade. I'm sure a lot of you guys did too. It was a lot of puzzles, and the fighting mechanics were extremely basic. Now, will that enhance for Hellblade 2? Absolutely.
Basic and boring.
I didn't say basic and boring.
I said that.
Oh, you said that. You think it was basic and boring?
Yeah, basic and boring, and I found the puzzles at first night.
Well, Crap will agree with you there.
Yeah, I would say don't get Crap started on the puzzles.
Looking puzzles. Holy crap. That's just, to me, that was just a way to pad the game time. Look for this symbol somewhere. Like, what the tree making that symbol? I got to go all the way back, run around. Like, holy crap. Like, if I'm sitting there looking for something for a half hour, 45 minutes, like, you done lost me as a someone who's going to play that game. If they would have just made that game straight up hack and slash, I could have gotten next to it, but the fact that it was like they mixed in these looking puzzles, I don't know, like, give me a puzzle. Like, okay, I'll give you a good example. Kn1ght has some puzzles, but they're not like annoying like that. It's just like, it takes a second and you're like, oh, I get it. You know what I mean? But like the ones in Hellblade, and it's not just because it's a whatever. I said this when it was a PlayStation exclusive, right? Like it's always been annoying as hell because it drags out the gameplay for no particular reason.
Yeah, the problem with that is Hellblade was fantastic when it comes to the atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
Even at the start, the puzzles were great, but they became monotonous. They became way too frequent, way too much. It's almost like they had an idea, and instead of creating the idea and then building upon it and improve upon it at the same time, they were like, okay, we have an idea, we're gonna copy and paste it and move on. And you can't get away with that if your combat was fantastic. Because the atmosphere was there. It's just a boring game altogether. But at the same time, I would actually put respect on the series name for two reasons. One, they made the Devil May Cry reboot.
That is my favorite Devil May Cry. Thank you for bringing that up.
I love it. I know they made fun out of the fan base and what's called Dante look and stuff like that, and that's not cool. But I love the game. I love the concept of mixing playing in the future
and the bosses were so good.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
Oh my goodness.
The ability to switch between different weapons and need to switch between different colors to hit different enemies. That I like that. That added variety to your gameplay while hack and slash. And they also made Enslaved Odyssey to the West. This game, if you have not played it on PlayStation 3, find it, play it.
Mark
Great
I think too.
Story, fantastic gameplay, creative. I love it.
Yeah.
And so,
well, let me do this, Omar. I want to, because like I said, there's a lot of subjects here. I do want to get to a question that pertains to this particular subject. I want to read a couple of these super chats, and I want to, and Omar, you can finish. I just want to get a couple of these super chats here. I got Thumbs. He says, where the hell's MNC Mornings? It's on the way. Listen, crap, we are going to discuss this because we got to bring MNC back. I agree with you, Thumbs. Great to see Thumbs here, by the way. Flaffy1101, he says, Caraba, you're podcasting or you're hosting a Twitter space? Which is it? The great Anthony Vasquez, right? Both. He's multi-talented. That's why he's here. The Anthony Vasquez says the acquisition will continue from Xbox and PlayStation because they can't let Amazon, Google, and even Netflix now acquire and take away talent. Anthony, outstanding point.
Hey, Mooch.
Yes.
Not only that, Embracer as well. Like, there's a consolidation of the gaming industry going on right now.
Hey,
real quick, I want Xbox brought up a great point. Embracer Group has like 130 games in development, and also think about I think Tencent and NetEase. NetEase just invested like $100 million into Bungie for their next game.
Yes, that's right.
So it's like this isn't this like I know a lot of people think it's Microsoft or Sony
going on right now.
Exactly. it's outside of gaming is just isn't like console, right? It's everything, and there's definitely like Xbox said a consolidation happening with there's a lot of money, and Netflix just bought the studio that made Oxenfree, right?
Yeah, I just played that game. I freaking love that
Oxenfree is
game.
great, yeah. So I mean, there's definitely consolidation.
No, I completely agree with you, and that's a good point. Thank you, BRAP, for bringing that up. Frostbite Slash.
Shout out to Dark Optimus when it comes to consolidation. He said that last night on Next podcast, and like he opened up my eyes to that. I was like, yeah,
His mom
really
consolidates.
Ooh.
Shout out to Dark Goldblum, by the way. Great to have. We miss Goldblum. We do absolutely.
Is he the live chat?
I didn't see him yet, but he may be here. He might be lurking. You never know.
He might be creeping.
He might be. Shout out to Frostbite Slash. He says, I think a lot of people are sleeping on the Fire Sprite acquisition. They're nearly a 300-person studio and are working on a AAA multiplayer game and a horror game. Frostbite Slash makes a very good point there. Detour Bore 1, he says, Omar, hosting a Twitter space and in a podcast at the same time. This man is a menace to society. I'm dying here. Shout out to Detour. I appreciate that. And then Vedger, he's here, and he says, the new Xbox studios will provide Game Pass with free-to-play games as service games with tons of microtransactions. If you played Minecraft since Xbox took over, you can see the agenda already played out there. I think Vedger may have a point. Now, Omar, I'll go back to you and give you the mic back. I just want to ask you a second question, and then you can continue through. The question really is should Sony and Microsoft continue to keep buying these studios? And I think that BRAP and Xbot, and using the examples they just said, made a great case. The only thing that I'm concerned with is, and I'm not saying Sony or Microsoft are guilty of this, but once you have this mass consumption of teams being bought, you know, Sony's been a little bit more vocal about letting them have their creative freedom, where you can see Xbox says the same thing, but I could see Xbox also steering them towards the type, not telling them you have to make a game that it revolves around this genre, but it may have to be a games as a service. It may have to have microtransactions. It may have to have this. It may have to be ready in 2 years. You know, this team is 2 years. You should be ready in a year. We need this one. Maybe they're not. But Xbox needs games now and fast because they have Game Pass. So do you think that we're going to lose a little creative freedom from all of these acquisitions, Microsoft and PlayStation, both? Are we going to lose a little bit of that creative like gene that's just not there when you have big major corporations seemingly having a thumb over all the work you do?
Okay, so for me, it goes out like this. You said if they should continue buying studios. As much I want to say no, and trust me, no one here wants to say no more than me. Because when Microsoft bought Bethesda, the conversation shifted. It's no longer about which game I'm excited for. It's now which studio acquisition I'm excited for. And that should never be the case. So that's the only reason why I want them to stop buying studio. However, if they don't buy studios, the competition are gonna buy it, and they're gonna lose great, and they're gonna get a blow done to them because studios don't open up every day.
Omar.
Yeah,
Omar, that's a great point, because just like me and BRAP just said, you got Embracer out there scooping up studios. You got Tencent lurking with like an almost endless wallet out there to buy studios and stuff like that. So if PlayStation doesn't lock down the studios that have been, you know, supplying them with games over the years, if you know, Xbox doesn't bolster their studios for their subscription service, you're going to have Tencent, Embracer, other companies come in and start scooping up all these other studios. I mean, what are you going to do then? Like, it's kind of like, it's a double-edged sword.
And I don't like that because PlayStation just lost a fantastic studio. The studio that created Sackboy Adventure. I freaking love Sackboy Adventure. A great platformer, great music, great gameplay, fantastic world. Had bosses were okay. Some few were returning bosses, didn't like that, and story was paper thin. So they need to work on that. But as for the game, it's fantastic.
So you think, Omar, so you're still okay. You're still okay then, Omar, with the acquisition of teams. You have no problem with this. You see that that's the future.
again, I am not okay with it. But what choice do they have?
Exactly.
Like we've seen it with Ninja Theory. Like I'm pretty sure PlayStation is eating their regret every single time they look at Ninja Theory what they did, because they almost, you can say, they pushed Ninja Theory to create Hellblade, in sense of they gave them funding. They without PlayStation, Hellblade would not exist. And instead of getting Hellblade on PlayStation, now Hellblade 2 is on Xbox exclusive. So PlayStation needs to learn from that, and they need to learn from that fast. If they have an opportunity to buy Kojima, to buy Ember Lab, to buy what's the name of the developer that so I have Kojima, Ember Lab, from software.
You guys think, you know what? So you ask a good question there, Omar. And I'll throw this out there to everybody. I want to hear OT's take on this as well. Do you think Ember Labs may be being kind of hunted a little bit here by PlayStation? Maybe they're looking to acquire them let's be honest. I don't know if Ken is going to sell 10 million copies, but
doesn't scoop up Ember Lab, they're stupid. They're genuinely stupid. I played Kn1ght. I played Kn1ght. I finished it. I am on my second playthrough for the platinum. And Kn1ght is great platforming, great story, great gameplay on the shorter side, and it doesn't have a lot of combos in a way, but still.
Go ahead, BRAP.
Omar.
Yeah, let me
try to go ahead.
Real quick. So this is what concerns me. Like, we're having a conversation, like Kn1ght comes out.
Right.
And now we're having the conversation of PlayStation's got to pick them
up.
That concerns me a little bit, that the game's not even like a month
I understand
old.
that. Yeah.
We're having the conversation that Sony needs to pick them up. Like, that worries me just a little bit.
No, why though? But what's the concern?
Because it's like, not every, like, I don't want every studio to be bought. I would like to see, like, because my concern is this. My concern is if these studios start getting bought, like, how much creative freedom we start having, right?
That's my concern, is the creativity. Yeah.
Are we creating an arms race? Like, I don't want an arms race. And
but
I had this conversation with.
But this is Microsoft created this. This is the vacuum.
I don't think it's just them
created.
though, Omar. It's not just them though. Like Xbox mentioned Embracer Group. It's Embracer. It's NetEase.
But the thing is though, okay, let me just say something. Like Embracer and Tencent, they're releasing multiplats. So them buying some studios, they're just still going to release multiplats. I mean, Xbox and PlayStation will still get the games. For me, with something like Ember Labs, I did think that would be a good one for Sony to get, because isn't that their first game? And it's rare to see such a good reviewed, well-crafted game for a first try. I think, get them while they're hot. And you know what I mean? Like, I'm with you. But I think that we fail to realize how many small studios there are. I think I'm with you in terms of EA should stay EA, Activision should stay Activision, Ubisoft should stay Ubisoft. Square should stay Square. Like, Sega should stay Sega. I'm with you on that, because those are giant publishers, and you know what I mean? And I think that would be the way that it should be. But I think, like, some of these smaller ones, these really talented ones, I'd love to see what a Ember Labs could do with Sony's full backing. If they're putting out, an 82 rated game for their first effort, the sky's the limit.
That's actually an outstanding point, Craig.
Also, imagine instead of PlayStation and Xbox, Ubisoft buys Ember Lab, or EA buys Ember Lab.
Anybody but Ubisoft, please.
I fully encourage Microsoft to buy Bloober, Team Bloober. Feel free, buy Bloober Team, get them on Team Xbox right away. Let's get that.
Right away.
Don't do that.
Somebody get on the line to Phil. Let's get Bloober Team initiated into Xbox Game Studios.
So
ASAP.
let me do this real quick, guys.
When it comes,
go ahead, Xbox. Go ahead, finish.
Real quick, when it comes to developers and like either Xbox or PlayStation buying them up, if they were multiplat, like multiplat developers, I don't really have a problem. First off, it's business at the end of the day. We're talking gaming industry here, all right. And then secondly, like, we've had games and characters for games that were multiplat that got scooped up with exclusive rights to go to one platform as well. And of course, the other gaming community that wasn't getting those games was upset about it. But then over time they kind of accepted it. It's just kind of like the nature of the beast here. So you know, taking a step up, going from the franchise that used to be multi-plat that's now exclusive to the developer now being exclusive, I don't see a big deal with that, man, to be really honest with you.
Let me just respond to Omar.
Yes.
You know, Omar, I don't agree that you should say Sony is stupid for not getting Ember Labs. I want Sony to buy Ember Labs. But then what I realize is when you're looking at business, there's a reason Ninja Theory was not bought by Sony first. It's simply because the sales were not matching the hype. So it doesn't matter how good your game is. Even Drive Club is still one of the best games for us hardcore gamers, but Sony shut them down. If people don't support these studios by buying these games, it doesn't matter what we think Sony should buy. Sony will only respond to numbers. So when I look at it now, Sony wants this organic process because it is a way of trust. It is realizing if I'm going to spend hundreds of millions on you, your games will give me that return within a certain period of time. And that's how business is done. So for me, if PlayStation gamers want Ember Lab with Sony, go buy the game. If it sells in the millions, Sony starts putting a bullseye.
Yes.
But if we don't, then there's no point even discussing.
And that's proven. That's proven by Blue Point's sales record. Absolutely. Go ahead, Omar.
I will agree with you, but I will add to that one thing. You also could see the risk of Ember Lab becoming the next From Software. What I mean by that, Ember Lab grows big, becomes like From Software, and PlayStation regrets not buying them sooner when they had the chance. Like,
you know, Omar, with that, I hear what you're saying with that, but you know, there's risk in everything that you do in life. Like, you know, you can also get Ember Labs, and for some rhyme or reason, there's some turmoil on the inside, and the studio just falls apart. So either way, I mean, you're kind of like damned if you do, damned if you don't. You can't pick up every single like development studio and whatnot. So they're making their choices. I think they did a good job with Blue Point. I want to see what they would do, you know, for their new IP, like their own self-created IP. Like I said, the first one that they made, it was kind of like an over-the-top asteroid type game. So it was a smaller kind of like arcadey title. But from the way, you know, people are kind of hitting that, they're making a new one. They're making a bigger game now. I think they learned a lot from, you know, remaking and remastering these titles and putting them out there. So, like, you know, they have a strategy over there. They feel like they're going a certain way, the way that they want to go, and you know, you can't live in regret. You know, I know From Software kind of slipped through their fingers, but that's a few and far between situation, I think.
Yeah. No,
the other thing we have to remember too is that, you know, these studios have to want to be acquired. You know, like it has to make sense for these studios.
So, BRAP,
too.
you know, it's funny. I deep down in my heart, I want to feel and believe in what you just said. The problem is that even if we had, you know, BRAP Industries, right? And you're like, listen, I will not be bought out. And then somebody throws a number at you, right? That does sound nice. All of a sudden, someone says, this is the amount we want to give you. You're like, wow, okay, I'm going to definitely have to reconsider my thought of. Listen, there's always a number, right? There's always a number.
I get that, Mooch.
It's still the developer's decision, man. So, like, it took Double Fine, like it took them some hard financial situations to kind of like agree to go over with Xbox and stuff. So
I think with
culturally, and from a culture, because they weren't even putting their games on Xbox a lot of the time.
That's right.
They were a lot of the stuff they were releasing was PlayStation exclusive
or
Game Beast.
Yeah.
Well, so it's very interesting that not even just that, even some of the remakes like the hell did they do? Grim Fandango.
Grim Fandango,
that only went, that and Throttle or Full Throttle or whatever that was. Those were only went to PlayStation.
But they had Brutal Legends on Xbox. And they also had,
I mean, that was a big published game, though. You know,
yeah.
That was like, and that was over 10 years ago. But I do want to point out that I remember something specifically from when Ninja Theory was bought, and also from when Blue Point was bought. Ninja Theory was basically like, we got tired of not knowing where our next deal was coming from, because when you're an independent developer, you pitch this stuff to publishers and they're like, yes, no, or whatever. That's why Bleeding Edge was never picked up, right? Like they were working on that for off and on for 4 or 5 years. No publisher picked it up because, you know, it wasn't a good game. But at the end of the day, that's the life of an independent, you know, developer. And Blue Point basically said the same thing. I read their interview with IGN yesterday, and they were basically saying, you know, you don't have to really, you're not as rushed or have to worry about, you know, the next thing, or, you know, can you keep the lights on or whatever, you know. So I can understand why so many want to do that. And there's always seems like going to be some of these smaller developers anyway, you know what I mean? Like for me, I just thought like when I don't think that for every game that releases, like, oh man, they should go and buy them. But I think most PlayStation gamers probably looked at, you know, Ember Labs and Kn1ght as like, you know, that's probably one that Sony should get. And I wouldn't say that for like every game that comes out or anything like that. Like, look, a good example, Destruction All-Stars came out. I don't think anybody was going, man, Sony should really buy up that studio. You know what I mean? Like, listen,
the crap they gave that studio Twisted Metal.
I know, but
is that a rumor?
If you think about it, a lot of people, it looks to be pretty accurate. But if you listen to what a lot of people say, the Destruction All-Stars lack content and kind of weight. If they had guns and stuff, that game would be much better. So I have faith that maybe with a little bit more time and some money, they could actually get a pretty decent Twisted Metal. I'm at least willing to give the benefit of the doubt. But it's just another situation. Like, you can see how people aren't just like, they should buy that studio. You know what I mean? It's like, to me, that's like kind of one of those weird situations. You know, it's like for me, like there's some studios that get bought and you just kind of question it. Like, and I'll just give an example. Like, why did Microsoft buy Compulsion Games, who have never had a hit? You know, their games have all been mid.
Microsoft did wrong? Microsoft should have bought Moon Studio. Ori games are some of the best I play when it comes to platforming.
Yeah, the Ori games were amazing. Yeah.
And they, let them slip through.
Well, you know what, though? But when it comes down to what Crap was saying, too, I will think about it this way. And, BRAP, I like the whole creative freedom thing that we were talking about a second ago. But, you know, Ember Labs right now, if you were to look at this company and say, okay, look at the work that they did, maybe they don't sell millions of copies. OT, I don't know if you're going to agree with this or not, but if they're just in the market of getting talented people, the fact that they didn't sell a lot also makes their value lower. So they may be able to say, listen, we have a tremendous team here. We'll scoop up that talent. They don't need their IP, but we'll scoop up their talent, and we're going to get them dirt cheap. You know, because everyone says that we're very lucky to be able to get Insomniac games for.
That guy take the die. Holy shit!
Tell me about it. And we're gonna get into Halo in a second.
Mooch and I talked about that while we were playing.
I know.
Yeah, but I wanted to make a point real quick, which is Sony seems to care a little bit more about the quality of their game than particularly if it had sales. If they only cared about sales, I think we'd get a Days Gone 2, because Days Gone 1 sold extremely well, but they still, you know, dumped the producer, the director, and aren't making a sequel. So, you know, supposedly that game sold 7 million copies, and the Jaffe interviewed the studio head at that time, and he goes, well, if you put out a 71 rated game, you're not going to last long at Sony. So
that's right.
If you look at Herman Holst, what he said, he's like, it's about the quality of the studio before anything. So I think that really it kind of depends on the quality more than anything. Like many people were saying that Demon Souls was a failure at 1.4 million sold or whatever, but it was enough to sell because of the quality. It's a 92 rated game. Shadow of the Colossus was a high rated game, so Sony brings them into the fold. Housemarque, what do they put out? They put a Game of the Year contender out in their first AAA space. It didn't sell 1 million copies, but Sony still bought them because the quality is there, and you can see that they're going to continue to get better and better and better. So I think when it comes to something like Ember Labs, it really feels, you just sort of see that type of game as a Sony game to me. I don't know, like that's a Sony game to me. Like if somebody were to go, Microsoft bought the Splitgate game and developer, that seems like an Xbox thing to me. You know, I mean, honestly, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's certain games on certain platforms that just make you go, oh, well, that makes a lot of sense. And some that don't. And like I said, like a story-driven kind of game like that with Kn1ght definitely reminds me of Sony-type game. And I definitely would see them as maybe possibly looking into that. I don't know. But, I mean, that's just my opinion. I mean, everybody else could have a different opinion.
Real quick,
Crap,
I think Crap brings an interesting point. Like, he talked about, like, Kn1ght and that level of quality. I mean, like, Sony as a brand, like, that's what their brand's about. Like, you want the best quality premier experiences they're positioning the PlayStation 5 as like the Louis Vuitton, if you will, of consoles. Top tier, premium, if you will, and you get premium experiences. So I think that's actually a good point, Crap. Like, I can totally see that. It Kn1ght actually kind of fits that quote unquote quality of what we expect from PlayStation 5.
Exactly. Not only that, but you look at what like Sony does, right? They're not afraid to delay a game, right? I mean, we would all loved Horizon Forbidden West this year, but they're like, nah, we're gonna go ahead and delay it into next year and then see what happens. Same thing with God of War.
Look what they did with God of War.
Yeah, I mean, the actor literally. I mean, we could have got that game. We could have got that game this year, but the actor ends up being hurt, and Sony was very kind of respectful of that, and now we get the game. Looks like we'll get the game next year. So I think that's
Crap.
2022 stacked.
Crap. You know why they did that though? Because they're protecting the brand of God of War.
Yeah,
like everyone expects that.
I mean, that game just got voted.
Voice.
Go,
let me do this real quick, guys. I got the great Jez7780 has been very patient and waiting. I want to say introduce him. He's been I felt bad I want to interrupt you guys, but
Benny Hill music.
Yes.
Cue that Benny Hill music.
Yes.
Yeah, YouTube comes after me every time I put that. That's why I stopped using it.
Great to have Jez here.
I love my Benny Hill. Yeah,
well,
thank
Jez,
you for the invite, man.
Absolutely,
Sorry about
Jez.
coming late.
No, it's fine. Listen, life gets in the way. We all know that. Listen, Jez, I'm going to just read a few super chats here, and then the very next subject will go to you first, and then I want to start with OT again. But I want to say real quick shout out, everybody. Let me just take a second here. Shout out to the great Gaming with Persona in the super chat. He says, he goes, big shout out to Mooch in the panel and the Spaces God, Omar. And, shout out to Gaming Persona for two things. First of all, he became a Mooch Maniac family member. He's a major maniac, which, by the way, that's awesome. Gaming, thank you so much for that. That means so much, Persona. And second of all, I did plug the channel earlier. I'm going to do it again right now. Please do check out Gaming with Persona and also Jay Bari on What's Up PlayStation tomorrow, 11 a.m. They have Shaun Layden on their show. It's going to be an interview of all interviews. I'm going to be their front row seat. I can't wait to hear what's going on and to get Shaun Layden's take. A lot of Shaun's takes on what's going on in the industry right now have been a bit spicy, okay? So I'm pretty excited to sit down and hear what he's got to say. So shout out to Persona and Jay Bari for really doing an outstanding job on What's Up PlayStation and their individual channels. Persona, thank you so much. I do also have Penetration Specialist is back. God bless that name. I need Sony to buy Capcom, Square, and Bungie. Maybe one day. We'll see. Right? There you go, Xbot. Shout out to Capone. Capone said it should have been there day one, but Mooch, give a shout out to the X900H owners. I'll continue to fight for the VRR on PS5. Yes, the VRR on PS5 is more than likely on the way, either the end of this holiday season or early next year. And shout out to Chris Jones. He says, hope you guys have a great show, my brother. Keep up the great work, man. Let's get into a topic here, guys, that I know a lot of the audience really wants to hear, and I know a bunch of us on the panel has gotten a chance to try it, but I will start with the great Jez7780. Jez, whether you got a chance to play the one weeks ago, the one last week, or today.
I played them all.
Oh, great. So, Jez, I'm going to the right guy here.
This is me and Mooch playing, by the way.
This is me. Yeah, me and BRAP played about an hour today. Some of these highlights are great. I got to get my Halo legs back. After playing Warzone legitimately for 2 years straight.
Mooch was mad.
I was pissed. I was like, what the?
He was quiet. Like, Mooch, are you there?
It takes so long. Yeah.
I was kind of pissed off.
Yeah.
It took me a while to get my.
Put exactly 48 minutes into Halo at launch.
Yeah.
I don't see.
I kind of believe that crap.
I probably crap.
You do not understand
Yeah,
how frustrating it is
to
go from a game where people die in a few bullets to a game where it could take multiple clips and a hit.
That was my biggest argument. I would unload an entire clip into somebody, then I would die, and the next person would run up and just shoot him with one pistol bullet, and the guy died. I'm like,
man,
come on, man.
That's what they do, man.
You know a funny story, Mooch. Like we used to play Hellhammer.
Get so many assists in this game.
Hellhammer, me and Grave, and we used to
all play.
We'd all play Halo. Hellhammer would literally stay behind me, not shooting, wait for me to wear down the health of somebody, and then get the kill
and pop them.
When I had to reload, that used to get.
It's the most aggravating thing.
Mooch, I got some advice for you as a Halo dude. Stop shooting the team's knees. Like, you have to go for the head.
You are right.
It's a quicker kill.
You are right.
If you keep shooting their head.
I do love the melee. I do love the melee, though.
Then they move. They strafe.
They are strafing. There's a lot of strafing.
That is the beauty of PvP,
and hopping.
And hopping. But I mean, there's hopping in Call of Duty too. I can't necessarily blame that. Well, what do you think, Jez? What's your take on the tech test, the tech preview, the big team battle? What do you think?
So I played a lot of it. I played every day last weekend. I definitely think from the last time, and I think I was on here from the last time we did the test. They improved those 3 maps that they had from the previous alpha test, the textures, and they look a lot better than what they did. However, the new maps that they added, this one in Big Team Battle and the other one, kind of have that same that kind of look to them. So graphically, it improved with those maps from last weekend, the smaller maps. So overall, my thing is, and again, I'm looking for something. I'm looking for the next Halo. For the first, for my first Halo, my free to play Halo, it's a great shooter. It works. The guns work. It feels good. There are just things that are driving me crazy that I hope they fix. It's just the visual stuff with that shield and the highlighting. I went back and played the other Halos, even in my stream today, like just to go back and. It takes you out of a lot of the game with the visuals, but the gunplay is great. Like, and for a free to play game, this is the Halo free to play. Like, this is what it is. But for the Halo 6 that it's supposed to be and the next big thing, it's lacking for me, and it feels like Halo 5 devolved. That's my take. I just feel like there's nothing. Wait, Xbot, I'm a Halo fan. All right, so I don't care what the community wanted. I don't want the community wanted. I'm just saying, hold on. So the thing is like I'm looking for like the next big thing for Halo, and I'm just not feeling it. However, the big team battle, that's my thing. So when I played the big team battle today, it's great. Like I think the map looks really cool. I think that it is a remake of it's a ancestor to Valhalla. From Halo 3 because it's using that same kind of base thing. But I do feel that the big team battle is great. I just wish that they did something more with it. Yeah. And hopefully they're holding stuff back. And what's that launch like? But again, I'm gonna play it definitely, and I just don't know how long I'm gonna play it for.
That's Jez. I think you nailed. It's funny because I had a lot to say on this, but in short, you really kind of tackled a lot of my issues with it. Listen, the game, the fluidity, the movement, the mechanics. Everyone says it feels great. Everyone that's been saying that is telling the truth. It feels a lot better. There's a lot more fluid motion than there was in Halo 5. The speed is finally caught up to the year 2021. It doesn't feel stagnant like that. But this still has some of the quirky things that Halo has, which, by the way, not saying it's a negative, right? Because I like Call of Duty, and people are like, Mooch, it's just another Call of Duty. That's true. If you like what you like, then you like what you like. I'm not taking that away from anybody. But when this is supposed to be the next evolution, and remember, Call of Duty comes out every year, okay? This is coming out every 5-6 years. I expect a leap. Yes, except for the movement speed, right? I don't necessarily feel like this is a huge leap with the gap that we haven't had Halo in. So that would be right. That's what, Jess, when you were saying that, I literally felt like you were hitting home for me. Actually, that was exactly how I kind of felt. Again, nothing really negative to report, but nothing exactly extremely positive to report either. So that was kind of where I was coming from with
McDonald's, Mooch.
Absolutely.
It does.
I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't go that far. Xbox like,
to McDonald's.
No. I'm kidding.
Well, but me and
Xbox,
Brad
go ahead.
We're talking. Me and Brad were talking behind the scenes, like before we went live. Yeah. And I told him, like, with what I've played from the Halo Infinite flight, I'm not calling this to me, it feels like Halo Reach Part 2.
Okay.
When you look at the abilities that you're able to use, when you look at the aesthetics, it looks like Halo Reach brought up to today's standards.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
When it comes down to it, and Mooch, when you're talking about like the next evolution and such, you gotta also go back into the Halo community, that fan base right there. And we all know 343 was listening to the old school Halo guys, which is why we got Halo Reach 2. When you look at it, they kind of when it came to the Spartan abilities, they kind of calmed that down and stuff, and they tried to cater to that bunch. So when you're talking about the next evolution, the Halo community, those old school guys, they wanted this as like the next evolution.
Xbox.
So you think Halo 5 went too far with the movement and the armor and like people didn't like that stuff?
Said. That's what I was fine with it.
I think they overcompensated with auto wave too in Halo 5, by the way.
But the Spartan abilities I thought were really interesting in Halo 5. Like I think they added better to the mobility, and I think they added their spin on You know, because I'm gonna say the one thing that really, you know, get into it, the equipment in here, besides the hook shot, the rest of it is forgettable. Like I think maybe that thing that needs a bigger range, and I just don't that thing where you look like you're giving somebody the finger. That thing where you put repulsor, is that what it is?
You could use it to traverse as well, man.
Yeah, on the ground, like you're leaning down and shoot. Like but the shield, that thing, I think the repulsor thing, I feel that the equipment takes too long to deploy. Like when you do the repulsor thing, same thing with the shield. Like when you do the shield, like by the time that thing hits the ground and pops up, that thing's tissue paper anyway. You're done. Mm-hmm. Like I loved Halo 3's equipment where like when you drop that bubble shield, it was a stalemate. Like it was like, you can't shoot me, I can't shoot you. Come on in here, we're gonna melee. Same thing with the armor lock. You know, that it was a standoff. Shield. It was. You were getting shot, your shield pop, you drop that bubble shield, you're like
in Dark Souls.
Exactly. It just stopped them. Same thing with Halo 3 with the shield. I used to use that shield thing all the time. It was a ball. So when you threw at that shield, that pulse thing, that electronic EMP thing, it would roll down a hill. It would roll down like a thing and hit a bunch of guys and disarm their shields. And you just go in there and just pop their heads. Like their equipment was so effective here. The energy drain, yeah, it was a ball. So like, especially on that Halo 3 map, the one I forget the name of it, headlock, where you throw the ball and it will just roll down the beach.
Kill that guy with the needler, man.
I know, so, like, I got screwed.
I just feel that
that's a sponge. That was sponge right there.
Yeah, I just feel like the equipment right now, even with the other shields, the overshield and stuff, where you stick your hand out and then put it on, I feel like it needs to be a little more snappier. But I do think they should have did some more stuff with the equipment, since that's like kind of a call to Halo 3, because the equipment in Halo 3 was like, that was game changing. Like that was the big difference from Halo 2 to Halo 3, because Halo 3 was pretty much Halo 2, but they added a bunch of stuff to it, and equipment was the big thing. And I just feel like they should do more with the equipment. That hook shot though is awesome, and I wish they did more with it. Like another suggestion I'll say is like, yo, if you shoot that thing at the ground while you're jumping, it should make you do like a ground pound or like come crashing down on somebody.
Oh, don't say ground pound, dude. You just
had ground pound.
Like,
I never like
torches for you, bro.
Who said they had a question? I couldn't hear. I apologize.
So can I?
Yeah, no, I just thought my question.
Go ahead, Omar.
Again, I'm a person that never played any Halo game before, but even I know the legacy that Halo holds.
Absolutely.
So, when was the last Halo game before this one?
2015.
2015.
Okay, 2015. I think on Xbox, on last generation, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, Xbox One.
Yeah, I think in my opinion, that's way too early to then release your next one. You should have, in my opinion, because if you're it's just when I think of Halo missed opportunity for me.
Yeah.
And when I'm hearing a lot of people that saying the same thing over again, like you don't want your biggest franchise to be called Halo 5.6 or 2.5 or something like that.
Right.
It's like you wanna not per se generation leap, but more like new idea, bold idea, something inspiring, something interesting. Like look what God of War 2018 reboot did. Like Xbox had the opportunity to create something on such magnitude, and they just chipped the bed with it.
The other thing you could say is Gears has suffered from it. Like they really didn't involve Gears multiplayer, Gears 4 to Gears 5.
Gears 5 multiplayer, yeah, not much, and that's
they didn't do that much.
That's what I kind of feel here. I mean, shout out to I can't remember who it was up here. I should have just held it there for a second. But they said, "Oh, here it is, right here." Shout out to RRD in the chat. He says, "Mooch, the gunplay, sounds, grapple, shot, repulsor, the overall feel, all perfect in my opinion. It's what Halo needed." Yeah. I mean, but RRD sound. Like, I mean,
that's not good.
I mean, I think what Omar was saying, and it was interesting. He said something, and I originally was going to interrupt and say, Omar, I don't think that's right, but now I stop and I think about it. Omar, you said that this game actually should come out in a few years, maybe not because of what you're seeing, but because of this is a beloved franchise, right? Go ahead.
You would have a new hardware to work with. You would not be limited to your old hardware to work with.
I agree with that.
You would
It's an
have
interesting
more
thought.
ability to do more creative stuff to work with.
We've been,
Like,
you know, it's funny, Omar.
Can I-
We've been
can I-
saying for so long that this game should have came out sooner, and
Mooch, can I
you're
chime in
one.
real quick?
He's one. Yeah, absolutely. But he's the first one to say that they should have taken maybe more time and made this thing that
No,
elaborate and used the hardware for its true potential. Go ahead, Brad.
I have said
What?
it time and time again. Halo should have been not only delayed, they should have scrapped the old generation and focused only on next generation.
That's not a Halo thing.
Well,
I think that's many Xbox
So-
games. Go ahead, Brad.
So here's the thing. I think they did try to evolve the series with Halo 5, and the Halo community were like, "This is like we're not doing
Thank
this,
you,
right?
BRAP. Thank
No,
you so much.
they did. I mean,
They
So
played
Halo-
the campaign, not the
But then
multiplayer.
for
Well,
most
no,
of
they
it-
did with the multiplayer. No, they did. They definitely did with the multiplayer. Like
So-
there's things like the whole
People don't
ground
like the
pound, like that was.
records. People
So
don't
from
like
what
the
I'm
records.
hearing, you
But
guys
hold on, let
saying-
me finish my point, Omar. Hold on, let me finish my point here. So they did try to evolve. I think that the thing with Halo though, it's that it's kind of stuck in Halo, and I don't know if that makes sense.
I
And
get it.
It's not 20 years ago when Halo was king. The problem is now is that the genre, the FPS genre is so crowded, and there's so many different dynamic experiences. Is that Halo just isn't king anymore the way it was, 18 years ago or 20 years ago when I was a Xbox Live beta tester. I want to throw that out.
Oh, really? That's news.
Yeah, it was. And look, and not to take away from what 343i has done with this multiplayer. Like, it's the best multiplayer I think since Halo 3 multiplayer, or like Xbox said Halo Reach 2, and that's a
Did
compliment.
that guy kill you?
I don't
Yeah,
know.
but-
I was
but-
just saying that same
yeah,
thing. I don't know
but-
how he killed me.
But
Hold
the
Sorry,
on,
Brap,
people
go ahead.
like this?
but arena, look, arena.
Hold on,
look,
let Brap finish.
Arena-based shooters aren't like the thing today anymore. Like Quake's not a really big thing anymore. They kind of have I don't want to say niche. They kind of have a hardcore following, and that's kind of where Halo is right now. It's not a bad thing. It just is what it is. It's just a crowded space now.
Yeah.
You have Battle Royale now. You have games that where you can unload a clip and you actually kill someone. Call of Duty, and so it's just a different. We're just at a different place. And again, I'm not saying that this game is bad, but we're just at a different place. And if you're a hardcore Halo fan, you're definitely going to enjoy this game. But I don't think this is going to be a game per se. I could be wrong. That's going to like appease the masses the way Halo used to.
Brap, one thing you
So
said
then
that
let me
Xbox.
ask you this. Who do you blame? Do you blame that Halo is just too stuck in nostalgia? That's basically what I'm hearing.
Well, Omar, hold on. Omar, I can answer your question, though. Xbot actually has been, and I wanted to give Xbot credit. He's been saying this for a long time. And Xbot, even though you've been saying it, I wonder if you actually realize that I think that this is the demise. You've said a number of times on this show that it's the old hats, the old Halo fans that demand this and demand that. And 343 has really opened their ears to that community.
Yes.
You might say that's the right thing, but that goes to what Omar's point is, where I think it's holding them back.
Brother,
I don't think it is.
when Brap said Halo is stuck in Halo, that was exactly what I was talking about. I never thought it was a good thing. I thought that 343 should move ahead and innovate as they saw fit. When it came to Halo 5, yes, the story didn't have that kind of intensity that the previous Halo stories had, right? But Halo 4 was great, so I knew that 343 had the potential to make a great Halo story. But when it came to the evolution of the Spartans and multiplayer and kind of like the Spartan abilities, that old school Halo community was like, oh no, we don't want this. And one thing I said on multiple shows, the show on my channel over here in CrossFire is like, I hope 343 never that community never really catches their ear, because what it'll do, it'll bring Halo back. Now, I enjoy this flight so far, and I'm gonna be playing it tonight, big team battle, when I get off of this show. But I there's parts of me that the Halo 5, I wanted them to move forward with Halo 5 and to keep going with that, because they did get a bunch of new gamers, new fans with Halo 5, especially the multiplayer. The multiplayer, I considered that the best in the series. Absolutely loved it. with the abilities, the speed, everything,
Yes.
all the different modes that they had with Warzone and so I thought they really did a great job with
even
the
Xbox,
multiplayer.
the arena shooter with the almost the pistols with the instant kill, kind of addressing that Twitch kind of gamer who like Mooch would like. Where like it doesn't take a whole clip. They did that arena type paintball mode.
Right.
I thought that was
part
pretty
of,
interesting
I'm part of
too.
the problem then because I feel like this one feels better than Halo 5. I really do. Like the whole ground pound thing. Like I was like, it's not. Like,
If you could take,
was a little OP, bro.
if you
It
could
was
take
a little OP.
Halo
Well, it
5,
remove the
was, that's
shields. It
but if
didn't
you could
kill
take
people.
Halo 5 and you could add the fluidity that this game has, there's at least a recipe for, I think, a longer term of success. Like Jez was saying, are people going to, like, here's the other thing too, guys. Let's not have short-term memory here. We all know the way the things are. This game comes out December 8th, right? And I'm fearful that by, everyone and their parents is going to be on Twitch. Oh my God, join me tomorrow. We're doing Halo. Because they've been doing Warzone for the past 3 years every day. So now everyone's going to be doing Halo, right? That's fine. That's fine. My question is that same hype and that same audience going to be there in February? That's what I say. The reason I say I'm not sure.
The only way that happens, and here's the thing, they have to do like different gameplay modes to keep people engaged. Because like I said earlier, there's so much. Like you're playing Warzone right now, right? There's so much. There's so much, and I love Warzone too.
I know.
There's so Blaze doesn't though right now. No, he was like he hates it. He was telling me that today. I'm like, what? What happened? But look, I mean, there's so much competition. It's such a crowded space that they need to make you want to come back, and
it needs new modes.
Like every
that's the thing.
Halo, I think
it needs the new thing. That's what I'm saying.
But Halo. But if you guys remember, like Halo, I think it was Halo 2 or Halo 3 used to have like every Fridays, and it's Alex brought this up too on BRAP this Wednesday. If you haven't checked out BRAP Wednesday, check it out. Great show.
There's a plug. Nice plug.
Thank you. But it's Alex brought this up, and I was like, oh yeah, you're right. Like he said, remember every Friday there was like different Halo modes. There would be like Rocket, like Slayer
Team
Rockets,
Fiesta.
right?
I used to play Team
Remember
Fiesta.
that? Or Team Fiesta, yeah. And that would bring people back. Like, oh, it's Friday. You know what that means?
That's how
Halo mode.
They would throw Infection.
Yeah, and it worked.
Let me add to this. Okay, from my view, I've only finished the first Halo. The first Halo was so good that it made someone who was a PlayStation gamer want to get an Xbox. And I asked my father, please get me an Xbox, but he refused. That's how I never got an Xbox. But what I'd say is, back then, when I saw Halo, I was a PlayStation fan that got envious, jealous. I would sleep and be jealous. I hated that I was jealous of Halo. I don't feel that way now. Now the problem.
Halo Killer, remember that?
Yeah, it's just that Halo doesn't have the same aura it has as it did before. But what I think they could do that they haven't done. I'm a guy who loves physics. If you look at Zelda, part of the reason this new Zelda is very good is because of the physics. A tree falls down, it floats on water, it rolls. The physics is good. But when I look at Halo, what is the impact of a grenade? I want it to blow up things that are nearby. Doors flap open. Let the physics be so realistic that I start to introduce it into my gameplay. And no one can complain that, oh my gosh, he threw the grenade near the door, it blew up and I was behind it and I got hurt. That's realistic. But I find it's so basic. The physics is still back in 2002. And yet you've got other shooters that are now saying, okay, maybe even if I tip over this barrel, the liquid starts to pour. Let me shoot that. It starts a fire chain. There's so much you could do with physics.
Destruction to some of the buildings or the trees.
OT,
in this fight, by the way.
No, they do. They do have destruction.
The vehicle destruction?
No, but they also have those barrels.
You
have the barrels.
You have neon signs flying off buildings. You have window shutters flying off. You have furniture, chairs, and stuff flying through the
Xbox.
Fruit disappearing.
Hold on,
hold on.
I do want to bring out. And I wish we had this conversation actually while I had the footage up. I purposefully on one of my parts where I was playing with BRAP earlier on the Halo Tech. I actually took a second and I panoramed around the trees. The trees still don't move. There's no gusts of wind. There's no air.
You actually were saying that while we were playing.
I said it while we were playing. I'm not saying that now. But OT,
why the trees dynamic? I don't know.
OT made a point about the physics and just the feel. And here we are with the most powerful console and a game that took 6 years to come out, and it's the next evolution in Halo. And there's just it feels lifeless. It feels lifeless.
I want to ask you guys.
There are animals, I think. Go ahead, Omar.
Dude, I shot the animal. It disappears.
It does disappear. I saw that.
Yeah.
I want to
It
ask you
disappears
guys.
now.
Go ahead,
It
Omar.
goes away.
You guys are all Halo. Well, aside from OT, you guys are all clearly Halo fans. Would you guys have wanted a Halo reboot, or a continuation of the story on the level of a God of War? New idea, fresh idea, even if it's gonna alienate the fan base. When face-to-face showcase Halo God of War, no jump button. That was one thing that people complain about. It looked way too much Soulborne. That's what people complain about. And what happened? Game of the generation, people call it. Game of the year. It won.
Well, you know what, Omar? Let me ask Xbot. I really want to hear your opinion on that because, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not, and that's not belittling because Jez is a big fan. No, Crap is a big fan back in the day. BRAP as well. But I want to say this, Mike. What do you think to that, Xbot? Omar's question is do you think, would you prefer to reboot and start from scratch or just continue?
I feel that I feel that Halo 4 was kind of like a reboot because it reimagined Master Chief as more than just a soldier that was following orders.
Probably my favorite story, Halo. Yeah.
Yeah. There was emotion behind it. You had that whole,
I agree.
What was going on with Cortana. The whole image of Master Chief with Cortana and what was going on was absolutely changing.
And when they blew up that barge of the spaceship, oh my god, like that was insane.
The ending of Halo 4 actually brought like tears to my eyes.
It was good. It was a good story.
Like,
that was a good story, yeah.
So
I didn't like the Prometheans though. I didn't like the enemy, but
okay. Well,
anyway.
I feel like they already did that. Now, what happened was, unfortunately, and this is something that I know from being a part of this Halo community for so long. The Halo community was absolutely fractured. All right, you have a chunk of the Halo community that just wants Halo 3 over and over again. And what happened was,
what's a Halo 3? Can you explain it for someone that not Halo?
Halo 3. There's no running when it comes to the Spartans, so therefore everybody is moving at the same speed all the time. People develop strategies when they go 1-on-1 or 1-on-2 when it comes to Halo 3. There are strategies that people kind of like depended on when it came to multiplayer, and when they changed the multiplayer, when they started speeding it up and stuff, that community did not like that. They wanted to keep their strategies. They wanted to keep, exactly what they enjoyed from Halo 3. All right. And now, unfortunately, when it came to 343, what happened was they started listening to that community right there. Now, I'm not saying I don't enjoy the Halo Infinite flight. I think the multiplayer is good, but again, I am thinking of it as Halo Reach 2. That's in my mind. That's like when I first saw the multiplayer reveal, I was like, dude, that looks like Reach. That looks like Reach, but in 2021. You know what I'm saying? Like, and my mind just instantly went there.
Mm-hmm.
I wish that 343 just kind of stuck to their guns and kept going where they wanted to go with the story. Maybe not necessarily what I like Locke, but Locke was really there was a lot of Locke in the Halo 5 Guardian story and stuff. Kind of pull some of that stuff back. Kind of bring these characters together. But I liked what 343 did with the emotion of Master Chief and how they were changing it. So I feel like they did a soft reboot already. But that Halo community, once that got into their ears, they kind of pulled back from that, which I feel isn't necessarily the best move.
Yeah, I think, it's funny because I'm seeing so many people in the chat, and it is a bit heartbreaking in a sense because I think Halo Infinite is going to be fine, but I think Halo's such an amazing title that they could have done so much more with, and I think Xbot, you're in agreement with this, is that I think the old community is almost like the ball and chain on its leg, and it's just holding it still, and it doesn't allow it to progress.
Mooch, just real quick, something again me and BRAP were talking about before the show, and yes, people, me and BRAP do talk about games, and we have fun, and we, it's a weird thing, but
it's weird.
But there's something.
It's like two horny grandparents.
Oh
damn.
Wow, that made a left turn.
Dude, you could call yourself a grandparent.
Well, I'm just saying, you never imagine grandparents like being horny. You know what I mean?
Geez, that's nasty.
Chez.
I think when
Chez made me say it.
Me? I didn't say anything. I was saying nasty.
Go ahead, Xbot. Go ahead.
When it comes to Halo Infinite multiplayer, there's something in this that I haven't seen from Halo 5's multiplayer and Halo 4's multiplayer, but something that I have seen going Halo 3, Halo 2.
Yep.
If you notice the clips, like Jez was talking about the grapple shot, right? And kind of like what people are doing with that and how he likes that ability.
It is awesome. I like it.
I'm seeing people use these abilities in such different ways and coming up with creative ways to get at the other team. Stuff that I have not seen when it came to like clips for Halo 5, Halo 4's multiplayer.
Yep.
And it harkens back to the Halo 3, Halo 2 roots. And I feel that with this being a free to play, and with kind of like the younger generation really into free to play, I feel like Halo Infinite's multiplayer is going to gather new fans because they're going to get those experiences that we had when we first played like Halo 2, Halo 3, those kind of like think outside the box experiences. I never knew that was possible. Do you remember like people plasma grenading warthogs and stuff like that to get to the other side of the map, and they jump out and they snipe like through the air, like stuff like that is happening in Halo Infinite Flight.
Let me do this. And
I'm gonna say something. I'm gonna say something that's really so. This is the thing that's been grinding my gears about this thing, and I agree. I like this, and I think Xbox, you're talking about the sandbox of like that's what they refer to, like these elements, and people could use these. But I'm going to tell you the thing that is a huge misstep, and I think the thing that's really going to kill, because I know we could talk about the explosions and the sound of it. Hopefully they fix it. This is the beta, whatever, alpha test, and they fix those things because particle effects and things like that, explosions are really weak, and they got to fix that stuff. But the thing that is not going to be there, and they said it's not going to be there, is the leveling up with the XP. This is horrendous. It is a huge misstep. It is done. I'm going to tell you this right now. No, disagree. Do you know what you do? Okay, you play a game. If you finish the game, you just level up based on dailies and weeklies. You do not get any XP for performance, for capturing the flag, for working as a team, for headshots, for hijacks, or anything. You don't get XP for your performance at all. You only get XP for completing the dailies. So basically, I actually had a whole game where I did not get any XP because the XP that I was going to get was complete one of two games. That was my one game. And complete strongholds, which it wasn't a stronghold game. It was a capture the flag game. The way they have this now is that you could pay consumables that you earn through the battle pass, or you could buy for 100 Craig credits. And you could buy these consumables.
Oh, you even got a nickname for them.
Huh? Yeah, right. They're CCs. They're called CCs. They're Craig credits. So basically, you could use these consumables to swap out these challenges, right? So you use these consumables to swap out a challenge so that you could get the XP that you want. Say, I never play Capture the Flag. You could use your consumable to get rid of that challenge to put a different challenge in there. But you only level up based on your XP, not on performance. So basically, you could run around and get 5 headshots, get 250 XP. You could have went 50 and 2. You could have went 0 and 25. But if you did your weekly, you're getting 250. It doesn't matter anything that you do. And I don't know how you're going to have people doing this and playing this game when they know that their performance or even their teamwork don't contribute to their experience increase.
They're not going to play the objectives.
Nobody's going to do it.
Does this not make you sad and depressing at the same time?
I want to know why Xbox don't agree with that, because that is how in this world of leveling up an XP, your performance, your objectives, it doesn't matter what you do. It's only the dailies. Kill 5 people with a headshot.
What's the fun in this?
Just real quick.
It matters what I do playing the game. Like that.
Well,
that's
wow.
Well, wait a minute, Xbox, See, here's my thing, guys, and I'll say this, Xbox. The reason
you played for a week.
He said he wanted to hear my.
Xbox. No, that's this, and you're. I think what you're doing is, I think you're being very fair. The problem is that I think that when you get into your second week of playing this game when it comes out, I think you're going to be like, wow, I just absolutely destroyed that round, and because I've already done all the things I was supposed to do in my battle mission, I've exceeded my XP limit. You know what I mean? Like it's just
your challenges keep going. They
keep going. Okay.
Like when you keep getting challenges. And,
but don't the challenge? But then you listen. Like
one round.
But see, Xbox, you don't play games that really are like that right now. Like, I'll give you an example, like Warzone, okay? In Warzone, there are daily challenges, okay? So it's get so many headshots with this, or, stop by this buy station in Verdansk and get this. What happens is the game changes if you focus on those missions and you don't focus on the task at hand, which is to win the game. So now if I'm spending a round where I'm like, oh, in order for me to level up, I need to get 5 headshots with the DMR, right? It's like, Mooch, we're over here. Mooch, we're over here. And I'm like, I don't care. I got to do this. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm now focused on my own priorities instead of working with the team. And that right there is very annoying, to be honest with you.
That's actually when it comes down to it. Hold on, real quick. But when it comes down to it, trust me, I've heard enough Fortnite being played in this house where I heard certain people, their team was on the other side of the map. They're like, well, no, I got to go visit this snowman over here, like 3, one time each for like 3 rounds and stuff. And
you're still getting XP though for getting the top 10, top 5, you still get XP for kills. You still get XP for what you do in addition to those challenges. Every game does it. Splitgate, Warzone, you get XP for your performance. You don't get XP for performance in this at all.
I gotta say, every single round that I played last weekend from Halo Infinite, I was getting XP.
You're getting XP, but you're getting it only for the challenge, which is complete a game. You could stand there in the corner and not get kicked out and still get that 100 XP and not kill anybody,
sir. Not a big deal to me.
All right, well, good for you. The rest of the world will not be playing this.
I think. Look, here's the thing.
I'm telling you that now.
You asked me, and I'm just saying.
Hey, that's you. I don't understand how you can't see that that's an issue.
Yeah, look, it might not be an issue for him, but I think in the
it's a big drop on
the greater scheme of things. If they're trying to pull in more people into this game, that might be a turnoff for a lot of people because there's Halo's in a crowded space now. It's not the king anymore. It's not the only great FPS game that's on consoles. And so if you can't get like for me, like XP for just playing a game like Warzone, like I see you playing Warzone right now, Mooch. To me, that is a standard now. It's not even a question of whether or not.
I think so.
For me it is because I don't. I love that I can pick up Warzone. I can play the game. I don't have to do the challenges.
No,
and I can still earn XP.
I barely do the challenges. The challenges are actually awkward and deter me from my goal to win. I don't care.
Let me tell you a scenario. So now you pay $10 for the battle pass. The battle passes are not time sensitive. They can't be because you're leveling up based on challenges that are weekly and dailies. So basically, you pay $10 for that battle pass. Now, the equipment and all that stuff you get in the battle pass, I think that's still another thing where they got to do some better customizations because it's really not that great. But you spend $10 for the battle pass. Now, in order to level up and get your money's worth of the $10 that you spent to get that 50 level credit of content, you're going to have to do those challenges to get that XP because now the monetary money that you spent on that battle pass, you're not going to get that content unless you level up. The only way to level up right now is just by challenges. So where's your priorities?
Well, let me ask this question.
Battle pass.
Let me ask you this question.
Basically, what it's going to do is he's going to make any kind of objective-based game mode irrelevant because everybody's going to be out there trying to do something. And I can say like, okay, so Gears of War had a way to go around that. So in the Gears of War, traditionally, if you were top or whatever, you get your medals and level up. And then once you hit that top level, you re-up. In Call of Duty, how it is, once you hit that, then you can, prestige or whatever, you know what I mean? But it keeps it interesting. It keeps people coming back. I agree. I don't think that it's going to hold people's interest who are used to leveling up. And especially if you're playing, nothing pisses me off more when you're playing a mode in a game and people are playing for their own selfish kind of things or whatever, right? Like even my own team, like back in the day, we used to play Call of Duty all the time, and I'd always have a friend trying to get his KD up. I'm like, that's not doing shit. We're playing domination. You know what I mean? Like, get on the base.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like that wouldn't last long. Like, I can't really speak.
Crap, I got a question for you. And it comes from Jimmy Harrison.
I want to ask you.
I want to ask. Let me ask. Jimmy Harrison's in the super chat. He says, "Hey brothers," he goes, "I'm really enjoying this Halo on my Series X, but why am I still concerned about the campaign?" And you're right, not a huge
you haven't
leap.
Seen anything from it. The last time we saw it was.
That's one of the issues I have with Xbox. Like, how do you showcase your Halo and not showcase your campaign if you improved upon it? Like, I genuinely don't understand. Where is the Halo community that's screaming, Xbox, where is the freaking campaign?
Yeah. I haven't heard outside of.
I was told by multiple people.
I haven't heard anybody asking for a crap except for us on this show.
Yeah,
I don't think
I
really.
It's to be fine. It'll be fine. That's all.
It's fine. Don't worry about it.
That's the issue. That's the issue I have when you're saying it's fine. How do you know it's fine? What did I say?
Exactly, it's not.
That you think it's fine. Everything that they have showcased, have showed you, it's not fine. If you're in denial, you do you. And again, I'm not even a Halo fan.
Yeah.
And if this was PlayStation, I would be tweeting at them daily. What are you doing? If I seen God of War, let's say, or Horizon Forbidden West, that's from Horizon after Horizon Zero Dawn. If I seen Horizon Forbidden West look worse than Horizon Zero Dawn, did not improve on any aspect, I would be looking at PlayStation. Yo, PlayStation, what are you doing?
Yeah, what are you thinking?
How dare you treat us like this? Where is your respect for us, the gamers? That's my biggest issue with how Halo is treated. Like, again, what boggles my mind is this is Halo. How can you, a Halo fan, and clearly you guys are, and the ones that are okay with it, be even okay with it? Don't you want Halo to be on the level of God of War, Gears of War, and stuff like that? Or are you, or would you rather be stuck in nostalgia?
It needs to be the quality.
I think it's twofold, right? There's for me, there's a concern with the campaign because we don't know where the story's going. We don't know what's going on. We haven't seen any of it. And the other thing is like, and I think even Dr. Disrespect said it. I know a lot of people went after him for that, but he made a good point. Well, he just said that he's saying Battle Royale. That's fine. Listen, don't forget, everyone has a reason, right? That maybe that's his brand, etc. But the thing about it is
because all the top games are Battle Royale.
Right. That's the thing. And a Halo Battle Royale
it would be good.
Would be amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I agree.
But
I want to point something out real quick though. Like me and Mooch are big time campaign fans of Halo.
Yes.
Like I'm not the biggest multiplayer.
The
Halo
multiplayer
fan.
in that game, no.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not like I'm not like even Halo 5. I played like on weekends with friends. We did customs, but that was it. Like I didn't really play Halo by itself. But anyway, like what I've noticed is, as I've gotten older and grown with Xbox, it seems like they've taken away the things that I enjoyed most about these games, right? So for my two favorite franchises on Xbox are Halo and Gears, and so Gears 3, 4-person co-op, amazing, awesome multiplayer. They reinvented it. They did some really cool stuff with that. With Capture the Leader, they had team deathmatch. They brought that in, and then they kind of got stagnant with 4, and I thought the campaign. Then 5, I still haven't even finished that fucking
The Terminators to 5.
Yeah, I still haven't finished that campaign. It just like the story just got bad, the characters are bad.
Agreed.
The multiplayer was nowhere near as good as it used to be. No. With Halo, every Halo since the first one, I first got my Halo, me and my brother, co-op, right? Every Halo I played co-op, every one of them since 2001. And this one, like, and I tell people they won't care because this Halo will undoubtedly be quote unquote the most played Halo at launch. They'll come out and say
the most played Halo.
Because it will be.
In PC,
it's
phones.
Free. It's free. It's on everything.
Who said phones?
I say it's gonna be on phones.
Yeah.
XCloud.
So they'll say it, but I mean, for me personally, someone who has literally bought every Halo CE and every Halo game and played through every Halo game. I'm not even downloading it until the co-op is put into the game. You know, so for me, and then another person like me who also loves the Halo lore, loves the Gears of War lore, but can't even get through that game still to this day because they messed it up so bad. They're really kind of screwing up the franchises that I love these so much to begin with. And I really just like when you it'll be fine in terms of when it launches, but I agree with everyone who says how will it be in February? Yeah, right. Because if you look at the top most played games. The top most played games on PlayStation, the top most played games on Xbox. It's Warzone, Apex, PC. Fortnite, then regular Call of Duty, and then and then another regular Call of Duty, right? So it's like, you know, I just find it hard to believe that, you know, and it's nothing wrong with Halo. This Halo could be a 99 rated game, but I think times change, and you know, it might not be what people want anymore. You know, like people want something else. You have to adapt to that.
Yeah,
you have to adapt to
needed
that.
a new mode. Like Warzone. Warzone was new in
Well,
Halo
you know-
5. Like that was interesting. But the thing is too, you
Warzone
can't even
was
do
so
co-op.
fun,
You
man.
can't even do co-op with the bots. Like you can't even do 4 players against the computer in multiplayer. That's not at launch either.
Hey.
They said that. So
Yeah.
you are not doing any kind of co-op at launch at all.
And nobody's
And the
going to be
other
able to
weird
make
thing,
custom maps or anything. There's
you
no
can't do
forge,
that
right?
either. And
Hey,
know what
hey,
else
crap.
too? Know what else is
Yeah.
weird is when you kill people in the game and do objectives, points pop up on the screen. Like you get kill, it says 100. You get an assist, it says 50. Capture the flag, get 100. What are those points to? You don't get XP for it. It's so broken. I don't know what's going on. It's like a half-ass game.
Hey,
I-
crap!
I-
You know what's crap?
Yeah,
crap,
go
real quick.
ahead,
You know
Brad.
what's interesting, man, is that you said like people want they want something different, right?
Yeah, it's 2021.
Yeah,
not
but it makes
2001.
it it makes me think of the fact that Bungie wanted to do Destiny on Xbox.
Yeah.
Like I almost feel like they were like, you know what, we're done with this. We want to do something different. We want
Xbox
to
is From
evolve.
Software right there.
We know,
Right,
yeah, exactly. Right. No,
exactly.
like,
Xbox.
we want to evolve the the shooting genre, if you will. And they came up with Destiny. Like they wanted to move past Halo, right?
Yeah.
And Microsoft didn't. So I think that speaks
Well-
volumes to what you just said. Like times are different, and you look at like Bungie, look at Bungie and Destiny now,
Yeah.
and to me that just that's a game that could have been.
let me do
on-
this
on
because
the-
I do want to get to
Halo
another.
used to-
You have a super chat.
Yeah, I have. Well, I have.
Just real quick,
Go ahead, crap. Then I want to get to
Halo
super chats
used
and
to
new
be-
subject.
Halo was a phenomenon. Like, I mean, it was in shows. I mean, I'm not the biggest Big Bang Theory thing, but they had Halo Night, and Halo 3 used to light up and be 1 million plus concurrently playing just on a 360.
That's right.
Like, how often do we get people are making a big deal of 1 million concurrent on a MMO, which makes sense on Steam, but people forget that there was 1.5 million playing Halo 3 every day.
Yeah.
There was like it.
Halo biggest issue is it's stuck in the past, and people are okay with it. They don't want it to become the future. They
Right.
want it to be stuck in the past. They love
I
nostalgia.
won't say people are okay with it because, like I said, the Halo community is fractured. Now, when it comes to this multiplayer, it is fun, but I did want an evolution coming up from Halo 4 and Halo 5, and I know my buddy the Don wanted the same thing.
I want the same thing too.
The
Yep.
Don is incredibly pissed off about no co-op the first 3 months of the game. I've never heard him so angry, and he said it on his live streams, everything like that. So it's not that the Halo community and Halo gamers are just absolutely okay with this, right? There is a split within the community when it comes to the direction of this, and I was hoping that they would go forward with Halo 5 and kind of keep going that way. I like the aesthetics of the Spartans from Halo 4 and Halo 5. I didn't have a problem. Another thing was the Forerunner architecture. They said it looked too new for the Forerunners to be to be extinct and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But if you look at like Requiem, which is Halo 4, it was completely surrounded, protected, and taken care of by robots and stuff like that. So it would still look new because it was being kept up, even though
Those Centrals that you had to fight, those sentry bots. Yeah.
They were keeping it up.
So
They
let
were
me-
making sure there was reasons to it all, but of course the old school Halo community didn't want to hear
That old school Halo community's got to go. All right. That being said, I do
Yeah.
want to say this much.
Hey,
right?
easy there.
They gotta go.
Small.
I got a bunch of super chats here, and I do want to get to one more subject here, and I really want to go to OT because he's been vocal about certain things on this subject, and I really want to get to it. But let me get some of the super chats. Shout out to Game Over Brian. I believe he's also a big fan of BRAP, but he goes, "Hey, bro, great show. I'm worried about the panel gaming knowledge, especially BRAP. So I have a question for the panel. When upgrading Final Fantasy VII Remake, do trophies pop automatically?" Shout out to Game Over Brian. He's also a big fan of Personas. Shout out to Brian. Thank you so much for the super chat, Brian. Static Fox says, Embracer Group has 77 studios. Ubisoft has 40 studios. Why do people get upset? Do people get upset with Microsoft with 23 studios, then say they're becoming a monopoly in gaming? I think, Static, if I had to answer that, and if the panel wants to chime in, they can.
Third party versus first party.
It is
Exactly.
third party versus first party, and I also think at the rate that they're picking them. Microsoft's just going out there and they're just like, it's like supermarket sweep. You know what I'm saying? So, and now we're seeing Sony starting to react to that to a certain extent. Again, organically through their own studios they've worked with, right? BRAP organic. But at the same time, I do think that this has invoked a bit more hostility in that. What's that, Omar?
It's a slippery slope. They're both playing a little bit with fire. I agree it shouldn't be happening, but the conversation has genuinely shifted, and I'm not a fan of it.
No, I completely agree. I'm going to shout out to Quick Killings here. He says, the way to get streamers and the younger players to stay with Halo is simple. It's Battle Royale. Shout out to Quick Killings, the mode everyone hates, but everyone watches.
His language right now.
He's speaking correctly, and that is the fact that you have to put butts in the seats. And realistically, Warzone, Battle Royale puts butts in the seats. Well, sometimes.
Oh, Jesus.
That's every 10 years. Shout out to TrueWiddy. He says the problem with the Halo community is they don't like the change and improvement anyway. What do you guys think of the rumor of Microsoft buying Take-Two? I don't see that happening, but I don't have a crystal ball.
Where did that rumor come from? Anyway,
it was fanboys that was like just trying to be wishful thinking. But I will implore anybody who doesn't know anything about business or acquisitions to check into this bit of fact. Okay, so Take-Two is like almost a $40 billion cap, which Microsoft could technically do, but they're also a publicly traded company, which is much different and a much different process than say a ZeniMax, which was a private company and much easier to buy. So it isn't just like they can go out and lay down the cash.
Well, they can buy a majority of shares for a publicly traded company.
But they're not going to go out there and do that. Like, they have to want to, I believe with the way that the shareholders are, that there's still a majority out there. So, I mean, people own shares of it. It's not as easy as people think. And I think it's mostly just wishful thinking. And, it's one of those things like I legit saw people go, Phil's wearing a blue shirt and he must be buying Sega, and it's I just beg people, like, every time they put out a controller that's blue doesn't mean they're buying Sega. Every time they, like, I don't understand.
Aaron Greenberg was sending us pictures where he's petting a hedgehog at that same point in time. Like, there's little things that Xbox was pushing out there to have people think Sega at a certain point.
I don't think they were. I mean, they just think it's just gaming related stuff, to be honest with you.
Bill did walk up to Sega headquarters after taking a dump. People thought he was buying them.
You know the crazy part? These people that would say Microsoft buying Sega, I bet you they have never played any Sega game, or they don't care about most of their games.
Sonic.
Judge it by the lag, the way people hyped up.
That's at radio.
The way that people hyped up Psychonauts 2. And then didn't play like what, a 10% completion rate or something.
Yeah, it's not a high completion rate at all. I want to say shout out to TrueWiddy for that super chat as well. TrueWiddy, thank you for also resubscribing and being part of the Mooch Maniac family members, and also shout out to SrgntSaltyNutz, who also re-upped his membership. Thank you to SrgntSaltyNutz. It means the world. Made great friend, known him for so many years, game together, and just such a true gamer at heart. Thank you so much. And then I've got Resting Craig Face here. He says the first match. Great. It is good. It's very good. Resting Craig Face says the first match I have where I perform phenomenally and end up with no reward for it because I didn't complete a challenge, I'm out. Resting Craig Face, I think that's what's going to keep people maybe from sticking around long enough. We'll see. We'll see just how much these challenges invoke people to stick around. Glinser's here. Glinser, good to see you here. He says executives that obsess about new fans for a franchise often end up alienating longtime fans. Microsoft seems stuck in the get new fans mindset. That's something that, that really holds a lot of weight, I think, with a lot of the old school Xbox gamers. A lot of people aren't as vocal as others, but I think a lot of people feel that way. Microsoft definitely said, we're going to make a turn here. We're going in this direction. And, they say that they're listening, but I think sometimes they're just listening to themselves in the same echo chamber. You know what I mean? I don't know if they're necessarily listening to the old school folks as much anymore. Or maybe not. Maybe that's just not worthy.
My first Halo, like the free-to-play game, it's going to be available to PC guys for the first time. Yeah. A new Halo game. They're going to be on phones. The xCloud is a thing to them.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe not to everybody.
Very much is to them. Absolutely.
So it's opening up a whole new market, and this is where their plan of making even Halo multiplayer free-to-play. It's not a mode that's free-to-play. It's just like Call of Duty. That's a mode. Like, they did not hurt their main full $60, $70 game by putting Warzone in free-to-play. Yeah. They actually just took a mode, made it work, and now they still could get you with the multiplayer. See, Microsoft took the whole Halo multiplayer, everything, big team battle, and just put it in free to play.
Free
They
to
put
play.
it in a weird package too,
Microsoft
because they charge you full price for the campaign.
Yes,
You know,
it
if
is
you
really
wanna-
strange.
Just
it's
what you're
sort of a-
describing is a
when-
jack of all trades, a master of none.
Well, yeah.
Microsoft's biggest issue with Halo is this, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. They should have done what Naughty Dog did with The Last of Us 2. Create your own vision. Don't care what people say. You know why? Because if Santa Monica cared about what their fan base wanted, we would have never gotten God of War the way it is, how it is.
Yeah,
You
you know,
don't.
we're saying all this, but you do realize like people are absolutely praising Halo Infinite's flight right now, and like what's going on with the game.
Listen, if you praise Halo Infinite's flight right now, you get a free 200 likes. You know what I mean? It is.
Yeah.
You know, it is what it is right now, right?
Yeah, it's like I'm
just saying, there is hype being created.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
there
I can't argue with any.
If I had a
last game in
dollar for
6
every
years
person-
and 3 years since Gears 5. Yeah, I'll be excited.
If I had a dollar for every time I keep saying someone say Halo's back or
Oh
something
my
about the
God.
glory days,
You can pay your mortgage
Like,
off.
They wanted to be the glory
Yeah.
days so
They
bad.
want
and I
it.
did
It's not.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not
just
right,
like,
not right now in this state. Like I don't
Yeah.
know what you're playing, but it's competent. But it's nothing that's like it's back and better than ever. No, chill the hell out, man. Like,
Yeah,
nah.
it's back.
yeah.
That's why I think everybody here on the panel should subscribe to my channel, because
I agree.
keep it grounded. I keep it grounded.
I agree,
Everybody in the
Xbot.
chat as
That's
well.
right. I agree.
Shout out to I got one more here. I got shout out to TrueWiddy. He says Microsoft can't do their IP justice. Big manager issues. TrueWiddy, you guys know this. Anybody's been listening. Microsoft has. I believe they firmly have leadership issues there. I don't know where. It's not fair for me to literally pinpoint and call
Not
out
always.
names. But they have management issues, and I
Not
really
always.
do. Well, enough that's recognizable.
I mean,
perhaps.
look,
Playground
that's a fair.
is killing it. Yeah.
Yeah,
well,
I was gonna
yeah,
say,
that's
a fair
well. When I
trick.
say
That's
Microsoft, I don't mean Playground. I don't mean.
Yeah, there's
that
yeah.
is Microsoft though.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah,
couple
I know what you
studios
mean.
that
I'm talking about the
there's a couple
executives.
studios that don't have issues, but yeah,
You know?
Mooch,
You think of Halo
Yeah, go ahead,
Infinite,
Odie.
Yeah, there's
Or is that?
for me, I believe Phil should step down. To be honest, I think he should. Phil's talent is marketing. I've said it before. If you look at this guy's gaming intelligence, I mean, this guy approved Crackdown 3. That was a disaster. This man tweeted how good it was.
Mhm.
This guy saw Halo before it was exposed and did not realize it was not in a good position. At the same time, his counterpart on the PlayStation side, Yoshida, was busy looking at God of War and saying, this is not good enough. So for me, when I look at all these mistakes that are happening, where you have Sea of Thieves launch bare bones, you have just grounded. I mean, there are so many games that are just not at the PlayStation quality. And this man has had 6 or 7 years at the throne. By now, we should have had a lot of serious games that tell us Xbox is here. I still keep on hearing 2 to 3 years down the line. But the thing that tells me that Phil doesn't know how to manage these studios is, especially if you are launching a new console. When he launched the One X, it launched without any software compelling enough to make you buy it. And then the second console he launches, the Series X, no software for 8 months, and people want to tell me that's a good manager. That's a person who has failed. He should just stick to marketing, be on podcasts, and market Game Pass. That's it. Get somebody else, even the guy who was there before,
I disagree.
come and make games.
I agree.
No, there's a lot of. You
I
know,
must
listen.
He
agree with
needs to
that.
get out.
Here is why he showcased Halo Infinite the way he did, and if it went ahead
So
of his, and it was not a thing in the sense of he had no choice or he didn't see it coming, then I question what were you doing the entire time. And to make it even worse, he didn't fire the one responsible for it, which is Matt Booty, the one responsible for first party title.
You
If
want him to
I
slap the booty? Oh my god.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if
they
I had
should
a
all be
dude,
slapped.
if I had a dude
Booty's
that
clapping, man. His ass cheeks are
delivered
checked.
something like
He's
this,
23 Studios.
and he told me, and I am the one responsible for showing it to the public, like, dude, the debacle that Halo Infinite is, this is disrespectful towards the community, and disrespectful towards also
people are
the
praising the
investors.
multiplayer right now.
The thing is with Phil knows that he has people that will throw themselves in the line of fire.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I see in the chat, someone's like, "Oh, people bring up Crackdown, but they won't bring up Destruction All Stars." Well, I don't recall Jim Ryan go, "Destruction All Stars is Destruction All Stars is is going to sit next to God of War and Uncharted with us." Phil Spencer literally said Crackdown 3 is going to sit next to Halo and Gears and is playing great. Like, I think that's the biggest difference. You can't sit there and go, well, what about this or what about that? And the second thing that I would kind of point out is he's got this people that just want to believe everything, right? Like, you got looking at his shelf and all this kind of stuff. I've never seen anything like that. The other thing that I would point out is, like, why don't people use common sense when it comes to Xbox? Like, even with Game Pass, okay? You have this guy clearly doesn't know how many subscribers are on Game Pass for Take-Two. He's just throwing out. That'd be like me and Mooch interviewed. I'm like, what do you got, Phil? 50 million?
What do you say, 60?
You got, Phil? Like, I don't fucking know, but I'm just gonna throw out their number, and you know what I'm saying. And then people would, of course, run with that. And now, of course,
Strauss was trolling him. Because Strauss has been very critical.
Last month, he said he would never put a new game in there.
Yeah.
He said he wouldn't do that. So again, it's like you have these people that want to believe so much in this thing. And again, I get hated on, right, for a 2016 tweet, but I stand by by what I said. Xbox was much better when they had some true exclusives to their brand, and it made the console, and the fact that people were so willing to give up exclusives and content and everything, and just become a bunch of yes men for a guy in a gaming shirt, that still pisses me off to this day, right? And the fact of the matter is, when it comes to something like Game Pass, I am baffled by people that thought it would be 30 million subscribers to begin with. First of all, you had, 18 million, and then they were happy to announce 18 million. Everybody's in a lockdown. Everything grew. And then the lockdown ended. PlayStation Plus lost millions. Netflix lost millions. Disney lost millions. HBO lost millions of subs. And people want to believe that Game Pass, which hasn't had a big, heavy hit added to the mix this entire year, somehow managed to gain 12 million subscribers in 8 months, meaning that multiple months they would have had to gain it more than 1 million, but multiple millions to play what?
Yeah. You know what the crazy part is?
Play what?
These people that are talking about whataboutism, instead of focusing about whataboutism, why don't you focus on the actual factual information in front of your face? And ask for better, demand better.
Well, it's funny.
Why would you want this to increase when there's not the content is not mid? Like that's the thing. Like you are excited for all these studios, but the game output is still lacking. With 23 studios, we're waiting for games still.
And now you're like, right?
You want this thing to be 30 million with what content? Like you would want to have amazing content lined up all year, and now it gets 30 million. You don't want to say waiting and and now it's growing.
It really harkens. It would be a bad message for it to grow that much with nothing in there.
Exactly.
And people say things that kind of, and I'm like, it makes no sense when people go, well, if it's that big now, wait till Halo and Forza get in there. Like, dude, anybody who wanted to play Halo Forza would have already long been subscribed. Do you think somebody's going, I got to get that Netflix Stranger Things season 4? No, you probably already had Netflix.
That's right. There's a small spike. There's a small spike.
For Stranger Things.
Crap. I don't necessarily agree. I think because I know people that subscribe for Stranger Things, so I think there'll be some people.
I understand
what you're saying. It's not going to be this like. There's not going to be like 3 million people subscribing out of the blue.
Like immediately, exactly. Like,
I get that.
I think that when you looked at the numbers, and I actually do want to give a shout out. Give a shout out to Jeff Grubb. Jeff literally put the fire out, Jeff put the tweet out that was like, listen, guys, and he said it on this show. He didn't say, he never escalated to the 30 million mark, But like there was a point in time where he was on the show, I believe he said, I don't want to put words in his mouth, somewhere around 22, 23 million. He said, I could see that. I don't know. He said, I could see that. And that was a while ago as it was going up. But the point of the matter is when they said 30 though, crap, the reason I wrote this to you right away, we were talking about this in the DMs, is I said, this doesn't make sense. I said, Xbox was the first one to announce from 15 to 18, right?
Yeah.
Right, and it's like
and people are like, no. I'm like, listen, if they would have got 25,
25
is
a
huge number.
That's a number you promote. Yes.
But this is the thing that I said. A company doesn't go from announcing things to not announcing things and having it be a great sign. Okay. Yeah. And the fact that, and there's a couple of ways you could look at this. Basically, what happened with the Windows Central thing, where it was the rumor, so many articles ran with that. Xbox Game Pass now 23 million, and people argue with me about this, right? I'm like, no. Jez Gordon said he heard it was 23 million. That's not an official confirmation from Microsoft. What happened is it was that rumor in April, and then you have 6 months later where they don't report it, and it's rumored to be less than what that was back then. So you either had one of two things: it really wasn't 23 then, or it was, and over the past 5 months they haven't really gained anything, but instead have lost some.
Yeah.
Which makes sense because the pandemic, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, people are out.
Over.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you're gonna lose some of that anyway. Plus, there was nothing. What I asked people, I'm like, well, what big game in there would people just? Oh my God! All of a sudden now, after 4 years, I have to subscribe to Game Pass. What game was in there that would do that? Because all the top games are the same ones that there've been. Nobody's playing Psychonauts. Nobody bought Psychonauts.
Right.
You know, Flight Simulator made it to number, I think, 40 on the top most played Xbox games and dropped 2 days later because people realized that it's a fucking simulator that's in real time and that shit ain't fun.
No.
Right? So what else has Xbox had that's going to draw gamers by the millions to Game Pass?
By that amount, by the way. OT, did you want to comment?
Yeah. What I wanted to say is the reason, and I'm not saying this out of disrespect for Phil. You know, I don't want the man to be fired. I want him to be replaced. Let him go to another position. But if let me use a Mooch kind of analogy. If the chef, the main chef who's running the kitchen, has no taste for good food, they don't expect good food, even if he hires more staff. So the thing is, this man thought Crackdown was good. This man thought Halo was in a good position last year. So I, as a gamer, don't think he has the gamer's eye. But beyond that, why I'm saying I would replace him if I was Satya. I've given this man one chance to make sure we do not go through a disastrous launch, because our last disastrous launch lost us 40 million customers. But now, this man tells me 3 months before the Xbox is launching that Halo is being delayed. And the first question I would have asked Phil if I was Satya, what do you mean it's being delayed? Haven't you been monitoring this game for the last 6 years or 5 years as it's been made? And the truth is, I don't know what Phil's answer should have been, because you as the leader cannot come to me and tell me the game is being delayed 3 months. We've already printed all these boxes with Master Chief. Our adverts are based on Master Chief. And now you're coming telling me this thing is not making it? That is not a good leader. I'm sorry, that experts have to face the fact that there is mismanagement.
But they're okay with it. They don't call it out.
Yeah, games have to meet milestones, so that's the part that I don't understand. I don't know if it's Phil, if it's Booty, if it's both of them, but I've long said, and Mooch, you've long said that there's leadership problems, and you can point to things. Now, Bethesda run themselves, thankfully, thank the heavens, okay?
That was probably something in their deal.
Right? Whew, yeah,
we saw that Booty. We don't want it in our studio.
Yeah, they run themselves. But look at the other studios that Microsoft has picked up, or even something like with Rare and Everwild. They announced that game with literally no game. Whoever's decision that was to announce that when they did, horrible idea. They announced it in 2019. Turns out there's no literal game. They have no idea what the gameplay is going to be. Then they literally reboot the game this year, and so it's 4 or 5 years away again. Hellblade 2. They showed this game in 2019. People actually argue with me that this game was going to be a launch game. I'm like, are you crazy? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, the engine doesn't even come out until the end of this year.
Mm-hmm.
And people are like, no, it's going to be. And then we find out at this past E3 that they're in pre-production.
Right.
Almost
How
3 years
have we seen gameplay from what's called Horizon Forbidden West and God of War now, and we have yet to see actual gameplay from Hellblade 2. That's crazy.
Yeah,
and again, what makes it even funnier, Xbox started this generation. And they're the ones that getting destroyed because they don't have enough content. So why the heck would you even start a next generation if you're not ready for the next generation?
Well, Karaba, you know, Mar, you know this. You
That's
know this.
right.
The thing is, listen, regardless of which company is ready to rock and roll, when one is ready to launch, Sony learned that the hard way. You can't let anybody get a leg up. So whether you're ready or not, they say, here I come. You know what I mean?
With 2 consoles, though.
But Mooch, here's the thing. They knew they could do it because they did it with the Xbox One X.
Yeah.
Think about this. They sold people on higher frames, better resolution.
Old
people
games
went
play
out
better.
and bought that, right?
Yep.
There's still no Xbox One X exclusive that really showed off the power of that game per se. Well, I mean, except for maybe Gears 5.
Gears
One of the
5.
best place to play Halo will probably be the one.
But what I'm saying is
saw.
Yeah, I saw that
The
too.
One X is running better than the S.
Look,
Yeah.
look, the marketing push has been, if you want to play the best version of this game, you need to buy this console. And that's what they did. And, you know, I mean, it is what it is. You know, the fans love it. People went out and bought it.
To be honest, I feel a little ripped off that I got the One X and then they discontinued it a year, 2 years later, and they didn't give me any games for it.
Well, crap. They think about this. They still haven't launched, and I got into it with a Xbox fanboy about this. But and again, like look, you can be critical about the things you love, but here's the thing: like they launched the Xbox Series X, and there's no game that you could say, you know, year one launch that is the definitive version of the Xbox Series X. It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They told you.
You did the same exact thing, right? So I can remember when the Xbox One X launched, and I can remember, and I don't want to throw anybody under the bus specifically, but I might be right or might be wrong. I can remember Jez and Rand Outdoor both kind of mentioning, well, Microsoft doesn't really have a lot of money. They're going to spend a lot of stuff remastering old things. And that was pretty evident because remember, they left the Master Chief Collection to die. And then all of a sudden, when the Xbox One X come out, they're like, we're going to update it to 4K and fix the lobbies and do all this stuff. And then these games started getting updates and people are like, and it was almost the same thing with the Series X. And I'm like, listen, and people misconstrue a lot of the times what I say. And they, you know, or I'll tweet something and they'll take it out of content. Listen, I don't buy new consoles to play old games. And I've said that a million times.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that I won't play an old game. It means that I don't specifically buy these damn things for $500+ to play an 8-year-old game, right? Like, that's not a reason for me to buy it. I want the new experiences first and foremost.
That's right.
Key point, I love the Mass Effect trilogy. I played through that for over 150 hours on my Xbox. So I got Alan Wake coming in
God bless you.
4 days. You know what I'm saying? Like, listen, I don't mind playing stuff that's older, but there should be new stuff there too. And whenever I bring this up, and
that's a great point. Yeah.
and the level of damage control baffles me when I go, they haven't had a true first-party AAA Xbox exclusive.
If we get them boost mode, boost.
Yeah, when I bring up that they haven't had a true first-party AAA exclusive in 2 years, I get told Gears Tactics or Flight Simulator. And I'm sorry, like, you know what? Listen, if you think that's AAA, which they're probably not playing, because for the first level, completion of Tactics is like a 2%. So nobody played Tactics. And again, the people that hyped up Flight Sim didn't even play it, or played it and didn't get, or got 5 achievement score for taking off and then never went back to it. So don't give me that when everybody knows when people are talking about the first party AAAs, we're talking about the big bangers, man. We're talking the, you know, the Last of Us, the Halos, the Gear, like the big games, not these
Ghost of Tsushima.
Like, you know, we're talking big games here. No matter how much you want to damage control Microsoft's shit lineup for a year, it doesn't work because we all know that they haven't really had anything in almost 2 years. And thank God for Bethesda, because then you wouldn't have anything next year either. Because the only 2 games scheduled for Xbox exclusive-wise is Starfield and Redfall. That's it.
But you know, crap. I think that just highlights what you just said. That what we're seeing is 2 different philosophies from these companies, right?
Yes.
You know, like Microsoft. You know, they're creating a library of games, right? And so what they're saying to you is, if you want to experience the library of games we're offering through Game Pass, and you want to experience that very similar to PC, you know, at higher frames, higher resolution, we have hardware for you that will do that. You know, where Sony's saying, you know what, we have this console, we're a hardware company, you know, and we're going to give you games that that'll give you the best experience, that tie into the hardware that we have out, that take advantage of it, right? Experiences you can't get anywhere else.
Yeah.
Those are very different philosophies. And so I think that's what we're seeing. And I think the not everyone in the Xbox community, but I think a lot of the Xbox community is kind of, I don't think they understand that per se. And I think that it's unfortunate that they're not saying, hey, you know what, where's that game that really shows me, hey, Jeff Grubb says, yeah, and Forza, but yeah, that's true. Forza, that's the only one, right?
Yeah,
but
it's basically the first one in over 2 years.
Yeah. I mean, and so that's, it's just different philosophies,
Yeah.
No, shut up.
I mean, I guess there's not really, but I think given the Game Pass probably subscribers slowing down, they're probably realizing that they need something big. Imagine Netflix not releasing any big shows for the amount of time that Microsoft hasn't released a big game, right?
Right.
Imagine that. How many people would still be subscribed or would join if that were the case? Do you know what I mean? Like
Netflix, you're a good example, crap. Netflix a little bit like down in the news. What do? They went and bought Seinfeld. Now I know Seinfeld's old.
Oh, I cannot wait. But you know what they did?
They went and bought
marketed
Seinfeld.
that shit like it was a new show.
What's the deal with that?
Like, what is going on?
One of the reasons I went with Hulu was because they had that.
That's right.
Right. And so and it's one of my go-tos, man. Like before I go to bed or whatever, turn on some Seinfeld.
Throw a little Seinfeld on.
Yeah, exactly, because it's it's a great show and it stands up and it's just like one of the funniest.
I know, I completely agree, and that was a great Netflix analogy. That a lot of people always use Netflix, but I like how you went with that one, crap.
Or Disney. Imagine, are you going to subscribe to Disney? Well, what do you got coming out in the next 8 months? Well, no, we got old shows.
One thing I want to say about this Game Pass subscriber thing, speaking of Netflix, the CEO of Take-Two basically said that Netflix and this gaming subscription thing are not the same thing. He talked about linear consumption and this kind of dynamic consumption. I forget if it was dynamic or whatever.
To the people.
What he's saying is that basically Netflix, you need 100 episodes in there because people just like consume so much more of a show. Like they'll say episode 1, 2, they're binge watching,
right,
to 10. Then he says, however, in games, it's usually just 1 or 2 games that consume your time for an entire month. So you don't need 250 games at your disposal at one time. Remember the backlog. So people basically consume games different than they do content from Netflix. So to say that you need all these games at one time really is not the way a gamer consumes content. He says you get one game, like he's saying. He's probably using GTA as an example. Like that game just takes tons of hours of your time.
Red Dead 2, man. I spent freaking 100 hours in that game.
So what he's saying is like, that's why he thinks that the big games belong, like, because you could sell a big game and it will just consume somebody's time rather than taking that big game, putting it in a service with 200 other things. Because gaming consumption is not like a Netflix. You're not going to binge watch seasons of snow. And that's why he says that it's good for older titles, but it's not good for frontline titles. He refers
and I also think that like when people go, I tried a game that I would have never tried before, but you got people that do that. They'll scroll through it like they do a Netflix thing and go, let me try that. They'll play it for 5 minutes and then never go back to it because it sucks or whatever. I don't look at that.
That's why I wasn't interested in the first place. Exactly.
Yeah, I don't look at that as actually a good thing.
No, right? I got 5 hours of time for gaming. I'm not going to sit there and go, let me click on this. I don't like it. I don't like well, that's the thing. You know what you want to play. I come down there, I'm like, I'm playing Insurgency right now. I know what I want to play right now.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a different type of media. I mean, gaming is an interaction, right? There's interest. There's also the mechanical end of it, right? There's like you said, you can flip through and you can watch like the half-hour shows that are on Netflix. You can binge watch those. People are like, I binge watch season 2 Saturday and Sunday. Well, you're not binging through 4 40-hour games on the weekend.
Exactly.
So it's consumed differently. And in people, I'll speak for myself here, okay? I'm not going to speak for everybody. Like, I literally, I probably about halfway through Kn1ght now, or Kn1ght. Like, that's like...
Mooch.
Like Kn1ght. But my apologies to Kn1ght. I said it wrong. But my point being is that, like, I take my time through games. I like to enjoy them. I mean, next week is going to be crazy. We have Alan Wake Remaster. I have Metroid Dread. I got Far Cry 6, which I'm very much looking forward to. I know I'm the only one in the world. That's fine. And then there's also, like, the Battlefield 2042 beta.
You said Metroid Dread?
Metroid Dread is next week.
Oh yeah,
I'm
picking that up next week.
Jeff
too.
Grubb, I know Jeff Grubb's. I believe Jeff Grubb's a big fan of this too. I've been listening to him and Mike on his show.
Franchise.
I am going for that Metroid
that's
Dread.
Blasphemy, sir.
What? What did he say? I couldn't hear.
Can't help it.
It's overrated. Come on, crap.
Metroid.
Yeah.
Nostalgia is a hell of a drug, crap.
Come on, man.
Come on.
It invented like the Metroidvania type thing, right?
That's part. That's the first word. Absolutely.
You got to go back.
You know what I mean?
Go back.
So,
that's like saying Vince McMahon's a good booker now. Come on, man.
Oh, damn.
Shout out to I'm gonna do a shout out to.
I genuinely like the original Metroid on NES. I remember playing that as a kid and liking that.
Yeah, Super Metroid. Yes.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Yes.
Got a question for you. When you beat Mother Brain the first time, right?
Remember
you walk in the room, there's
there
a timer, and you got to jump up?
Yep.
I think so, yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Dude, my hands were literally shaking.
Yeah. You're like, why am I being timed?
Yeah, okay. Like, I remember that now. But did you ever play the X-Men game on Sega Genesis?
I did, but my memory of it's fading.
X-Men game on Sega Genesis, but you get to the end, and you have to reset your Sega Genesis to beat the game. Right? As a kid,
I didn't get that. Apparently, I didn't get that far.
Dude, you get to the end. It was so great. This
you had to reset,
game was like basically modeled after the cartoon, which was really popular in the 90s. Such a great game. And then you get to the end.
That cartoon came on like 6 in the morning. I remember.
Yeah, it used to come on like for me on Saturday mornings or whatever. I don't know. I'm a little bit younger than you, but it was like it's still a great cartoon.
Well, I'm going to say real quick, crap. Shout out to Iceman. I know he's been throwing subtle jabs, and I don't blame him. I know Iceman. He's a great guy. Outstanding gamer, by the way. He says, I wonder if Sony had Game Pass, would you guys be pissed? I mean, my answer to you, Iceman, is that Sony does. Sony has a streaming service, and I'm not pissed that they have a streaming service. That's fine. They can do whatever they want. I think that what you're hearing with Game Pass is not the fact that no one's upset Game Pass exists. It's just that the quality of content in there right now is not. I'm saying it's Games Pass. It's questionable.
I want to point something out about this X-Men game too. I would always play it with my brother, and he was always Wolverine. Wolverine was the character. He'd get his health back.
That's who I always was. Yes.
He'd have to stand in the corner and get his health back, and I think he could share health if he stood close to somebody. So it would take us like 30 minutes. Like I'd be like, I need health, and he'd like have to go stand in the corner and health up. And it was just it's just such a good game. But I wanted to point out that I was talking to somebody about this on Twitter when it comes to Game Pass. All right, so Game Pass for me. I had Xbox Live Gold till like 2023. I got Game Pass for $1 for Ultimate. It just switched over. I have PS Plus till 2023 sometime. If they ever said
Gambit was my go-to, by the way, in that game.
Gambit was mine on that one.
Yeah. But if Sony was like get PlayStation Plus for $1, convert it all, I would do the same thing. It doesn't mean that I would use it or pimp it, right? Because I've also found out just from talking to a lot of people today. A lot of people on the Xbox side very much go, because I'm like, you pay $180 a year for this, and they're like, no, there's ways around it. There's hacks. You can, create alternate accounts. You can do this. You can do that. So there's probably a large contingent of people that aren't even paying for it, and we've got this whole group of gamers. And I've actually argued with people that's seen this on my timeline, where they'll go, I haven't bought a game in 2 years thanks to Game Pass. And they're also
they want better game, bigger game, but they don't want to support it.
Yeah, and they're not even paying. So they're not buying games. They're not paying for Game Pass because a lot of people just converted or are using tricks to get it. I'm not saying everybody's doing that, but doesn't it seem like there's this entitlement building on this side because these same people are mocking others for paying $70 for games, and I'm like, we've always I don't understand the problem with paying for games. I've always bought my games. I don't understand why people are trying to have this weird flex that it's a bad thing to buy a game. Like, and the $70 price. I can remember buying Jet Force Gemini on the Nintendo 64 for like $79 or something.
I think if you enjoy,
they genuinely become entitled. They like what makes it crazy. They're okay with what they're getting with Microsoft. Because they're waiting for the next game to come to Game Pass, and they are surprised why Microsoft is not investing in this and not investing in that. They just want everything for free. Like if, for example, Psychonauts. If Psychonauts was not on Game Pass, no one would have bought it. And they are surprised why you hear what's his name. The owner of Double Fine saying, we don't have a plan for Psychonauts 3 right now. I'm like, no shit. No one bought your game. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I completely, I could see that point. And I think that when it comes down to it, and WoolleyGamer's also made a couple of good points in the chat as well. I think that when I just think that
I gotta go.
Oh, you sorry, but BRAP, if you gotta go, I'll plug your channel later.
Here in a minute too.
I know I'm gonna lose crap. I wanted to ask.
Are you wrapping up soon? So
I am wrapping up. I want to ask OT. I have one question for OT. I wanted to ask him, and OT. One question that I have for you is just recently, since we're talking about Game Pass, Scarlet Nexus and like Marvel's Avengers are now currently in Game Pass. My question for you, and then we'll do the outros right after this, is that do you think that games like this caliber that come in after the game has been launched, is this something that, like, for you, when you see this from the outside looking in, you're a consumer, do these types of games entice you to buy an Xbox and to get invested in the Game Pass ecosystem? Do you see what I'm saying? Like, everyone says, because it makes big news for a couple of days on Twitter, and then it kind of just fades out. And I've always been under the understanding if you're going to get a Marvel's Avengers and you're going to get a Scarlet Nexus, for me, for Game Pass, it would mean more to me. Maybe you guys will disagree, but OT, I want to hear your point. That needs to be a day and date type of thing for those types of games. The fact that these games came out later, I know a lot of people that would have loved to know it was in Game Pass.
I got gifted Avengers on PS4 back in the day, and then I bought Avengers on Xbox for $15 on sale. So,
well, that's what I'm saying. They're cheap now. That's my point. Yeah. But OT, what's your take on Game Pass in these games?
Let me say, I think I've realized that there are two realities. There's a Twitter reality where people think Game Pass is bigger than it is by getting some of these games. These games don't move any needle. Psychonauts is moving nothing. Avengers is moving nothing. In fact, Avengers is proof that when you fail to sell your games to gamers, then you now go to Game Pass. But I want to make gamers see there are two types of models that can be used. There's the Netflix model, and then there's the Disney model where you have a streaming service. But even Disney is not foolish enough to say, let me spend hundreds of millions on a Star Wars movie and then put it on my subscription service. Disney and Sony are doing the exact same thing. They have their premiere service, and then they have, maybe you'll find a Star Wars on their subscription service later on. They are practicing the exact same model. Yet people are saying Sony's model is stupid. Disney makes more money than Netflix. So the thing is, at the end of the day, I feel like if you are being honest with yourself, Game Pass has a limited budget in comparison to what Sony is doing. Sony is now saying, I'm willing to spend $300 million on my games. If Game Pass, Phil tries to spend $300 million on many of his games, he's going to be broke. Because first of all, he's earning less than half the money that Sony is earning. So he has to go for smaller games, and that's what comes with the service. Smaller games. When you buy your games, what happens? You get Sony's caliber of big games, but yet you're getting RDX saying, hey, Game Pass is going to have games on caliber with Last of Us, God of War, all these games. No, if they don't have the budget, then they cannot make the kind of games Sony's making.
Those type of games don't make sense for Game Pass from Microsoft anyway.
Yeah.
Wait, can I
go ahead.
Question. So I'm sorry. So Odie, you said that, like, you used Avengers as an example. You said, correct me if I'm wrong. You said Avengers didn't sell well, so it ended up in Game Pass.
Yeah, because
it
you
was
see,
on PlayStation now for like last 4 months.
But the thing is, what I'm saying is, all of these guys make more. You will make more money by selling 1 million copies of your game than having 5 million people access it on Game Pass. You have to subsidize when you're on Game Pass, because otherwise they can't even run it. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying.
No, I was going to say, like, I understand the example with Avengers, but there's games on Game Pass that have sold well, like Red Dead Redemption 2.
But Red Dead Redemption 2 was in Game Pass many months
that's
after
what I'm
release.
saying. Like it's
over a year.
It's past its prime. Yeah.
What I'm saying, it's not there because it didn't sell well. What I'm saying is it got to Game Pass, and actually because it went to Game Pass, it actually got more sales. So
what I'm saying is, Red Dead Redemption 2 will never launch on Game Pass day and date.
I agree with you. Yes, I agree with you. Exactly.
That's my main point. So once it's made its money, that's when you can bring it, and that's what Sony is doing. The same thing as Disney.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, that's all I'm saying. But you see, RDX, if you listen to them, they're telling their players, oh my gosh, they're going to spend 300 million on a game and then put it on Game Pass. There's no company that's doing that with a subscription service. So I just think, to be realistic, these companies have gone two separate paths. Xbox gamers need to realize that they're going to have smaller games than PlayStation gamers unless they start buying games. If they're not, then expect Phil to say, hey, 40 million for this game, 20 million for that game, but don't expect 300 million. Like,
well, I can remember Jez Gordon saying if you want games like God of War and Last of Us, that ain't ever going to be Xbox. They make like multiplayer games and stuff like that. Even turning Halo into a games as a service, there's a rumor that Forza Motorsport's going to be games as a service. Forza Horizon already was a games as a service. They turned the last one into that with dailies and weeklies and all that kind of crap. But when it comes to, some of the other stuff, I think like the single player games, I think they'll be smaller level. You know what I mean? Like little shorter, like 10, 15 hour stuff. Sort of like, I guess, Spider-Man Miles Morales is, because it doesn't make sense. Because if you make a $200 million single player game and people can buy a box of Pop-Tarts and in that amount of time beat that game, you're not winning there. You know what I mean? You're not winning that.
No.
It's just not the thing. It's like, why will you never see a Call of Duty game in Game Pass? Well, because that game sells 30 million a year or whatever it is.
Right.
So I mean, that's $70 a pop.
Yeah.
So I mean,
I think Scarlet Nexus and the Avengers going in there are just another ways to get people,
I think it's
possibly buy them.
Jez, I think instead of getting new consumers, what that does at the very least is it retains some people.
We're back to Corrupt Taro that you're.
Yes, I apologize about your Corrupt Taro. Hey, let me tell you some crap. It's a hell of a game. All right, that being said, guys, I will say this.
I'm there too. I'm at that part, but I'm not. What level?
I'm past this now, but
are you playing it on like the hardest?
I'm playing on the hardest. Yeah.
Oh, not
there's a lock on, right?
Yeah, the lock on. Yeah, but the lock on messes my camera up, dude. I can't.
Gotcha.
I can't. I mean, now if there's multiple, but if there's multiple simple enemies, I don't mind. But like with here, right? I had the lock on them, and then I wanted to just turn slightly to the right because you have to turn to the right
energy
to let the rock get me the energy, and it wouldn't turn. Yeah. So I need the camera lock off
again.
Yeah, my apologies, guys. But I did beat him to the hell.
Should have made a button for like that. You like an assigned button or something like left on the D-pad or something where it'll just send your rot to go get energy and come back rather than have to look at it.
I don't know why I have to look at it.
Little hats on the rot. It's fun.
Dude, it is fun. Actually, I'm really enjoying this game. Shout out to BRAP. BRAP, thank you for that. I appreciate it. BRAP,
it'll probably come to Xbox in like 6 months or a year. So.
Think so?
Oh yeah,
just like Final Fantasy remake.
Yeah. Well, no, like the developer said, the developer's like, we're focused on this version right now, but anything's possible in the future.
Oh, yeah, is that what they say? If they say, whenever they say anything's possible, I love it. They should make that a song.
It's sort of like the Medium. I can remember like so many Xbox fans were like, we got the Medium. And I played it. I'm like, this game is trapped in 1996 with the movements and the camera and no, what a great game.
It was like Resident Evil 2 or Resident Evil 1.
Yeah, it was.
Keep that.
So, yeah,
you know what I mean? The Medium is on PlayStation better because it got DualSense, and I don't even care about the Medium.
But I mean, it makes sense. Listen, all these smaller games end up pretty much everywhere for the most part. So,
that's a good point, Crap.
Like Oddworld. That's why I never hyped that up as a PlayStation exclusive because you knew it was going to go elsewhere, and I guess it hasn't yet, but it definitely will. You know what I mean? Like all these. Yeah, look, the games that the Xbox got, the 12 minutes and all that stuff will all be on PlayStation at some point.
Yeah, maybe in a few years, Halo Infinite multiplayer will be on PlayStation.
Oh, that's what they want. They would
that's 3 years from now.
That's what they want. Yeah, for sure.
They want that.
Sony's the only thing stopping it, not Microsoft. Shout out to Donnell Brown. He said, I think it would be a good idea for you and BRAP to do a show on Sunday. Just doing a show once a week is not enough, and Sunday will be good since both y'all teams suck. Anyways, all love. That's Donnell making fun of my Giants.
Oh, yes.
Crap.
Hey, let me tell you something about my Giants.
Everybody's team gets
I'm already looking forward to next year's draft. All right?
Dude, when's the hockey season? I got to watch the Rangers. I'm done. Football's done.
Hockey season. I know my Mets lost terribly at the end, and the Giants are off to 0-3 start.
John, forget about it. Sundays are dead to me.
God almighty. Yeah, time to eat and drink more. You go ahead, Omar.
Yeah.
Yes, I listened to you and Dick Humor, and the point that he made about Halo made so much sense.
Who's that, Omar?
It's so.
Monday I had Sick Humor on my show.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't hear what you said. I couldn't. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Omar.
Yeah, sorry. And the point he made made so much sense. How they're releasing this on purpose, like this, bare bones, because they don't want you to get everything and be done with it and get bored while waiting for the next content.
That is interesting.
And you know what?
Yeah,
well, every time they mention what's not shipping at launch, they go, "Oh, well, it's a service game." The guy called it Halo Infinite Service. Like, and that's what the thing that triggers me is like every time they say something's not ready at launch, it's like, is it not ready, or are you holding it back, trying to give it in season 2 and 3 so you have that carrot?
Whenever I hear that, I always look at like State of Decay 2 or
Sea of Thieves.
To be honest with you, I like Sea of Thieves, but even I can admit once you get the rose-colored glasses off that it didn't have any content at launch. Like it was fun. Me and Mooch would have fun on it, and then we get bored with it, and then we didn't really go back. But if you're gonna launch it, make sure you got enough content to keep people around. Don't do a situation like Sea of Thieves. They're really struggling to keep content on there, and then like State of Decay 2 was so bad and full of glitches and stuff. I never went back. Like me and Mooch, when we tried to play that, the other people spawned in the floor and the wall, and it was just not a good experience. And I heard it's better now. In fact, they like remastered it.
They did, yeah. There's like definitive.
They totally remastered, but it's like, like that game always annoys me. It's like no matter what you do, like somebody pissed in my food stops, -8 food. You know what I mean? There's like not really a story, so it's like I don't know. Like kind of, it took some steps back to the first one in my opinion, because the first one had like actual kind of story.
You go back and you ask the sheriff. You're like, "Can you get up? It's your turn to go out." He's like, "I'm too tired, man. I just can't do it. I'm like, it's an apocalypse. Come on,
get your ass out there. Come on.
My God.
No, -10 food, Mooch.
Yeah, -10 apples. Okay, all right. What a game. What a game. Shout out to WoolleyGamer.
For those noting, that was 2018. That's when I started to notice and play a little bit more PlayStation when God of War, Detroit, and Spider-Man came out that year. And for Xbox, it was Sea of Thieves, State of Decay 2 and PUBG.
Slight discrepancy.
That was, it's like quite a difference in games there. You know what I mean? So,
next year is looking the same.
Just a touch. Yeah, next year's going to be interesting.
Next year, Sony's coming out with next year compared to Microsoft right now. They're going to talk. Are you really going to talk about Starfield for 12 months? Because Sony has the beginning of the year.
I'm not hoping that the game gets delayed, but any type of small delay would push that into 2023.
Dude, then there's nothing. Considering everything that Microsoft released this year, Psychonauts and Halo was supposed to come out last year. So if they released those last year, what would have came out this year?
Nothing. Forza?
Well, same as came out last year.
Yeah, Horizon. Yeah. That's it. And next year is Starfield. There's nothing. And then they got Crossfire X and Redfall and
don't forget Scorn.
Like Stalker 2.
Stalker 2. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Shout out. Salty's still going after the Giants.
Hey Mooch, I gotta go, man.
All right, crap. No, I'll plug the channel. I'm actually gonna do these last few super chats.
The Giants are done, dude.
Good show, guys.
Thank you, crap.
Nice show, everyone. Sorry, man. I stuck around.
Peace, crap. I got you. I'll plug the channel. All right, buddy.
It was nice. I stuck around as long as I could.
I know, crap. I'm very proud of 946 here in New York. This is unbelievable. I don't show I knew with OT and Omar it was going to go a little long today. I had a feeling.
All right, guys.
All right, crap. Thank you. All right, I'm going to read these last super chats here. Shout out to WoolleyGamer. He says, much love to my fellow company of gamers, brother OT. He says, and my good friend Karaba, Mooch, the whole panel. I'll catch you all tomorrow. WoolleyGamer comes back and says, my TSGP bros on here too. Damn. Shout out to, he's referring to you, Jez, of course.
Yeah.
The great Iceman, LMH. By the way, Iceman is just absolutely, I've gamed with this guy. This guy's lethal with the controller. He says, Mooch, let's go Mets and Giants. Wait till next year. Yep, that's what we do as Mets and Giants fans.
Yes.
The great Jimmy Harrison, he says, great show, guys. Best damn podcast. Jimmy, thank you so much for that support. Jeff B. Gaming says, an example of half-done live service games is PES Soccer. I'm worried for Halo. Jeff. PES Soccer is real bad.
Dude, those screenshots with like Messi looking cross-eyed.
Oh my god. Well, there's one freeze frame of Messi and his head's actually not attached to the body. It's really, it's actually disturbing to see. Some of that stuff should come with a rating.
It's just like a horror game.
Let me go in reverse order here and just say thank you. I've kept, shout out to OT. It's like 6 a.m. out there. You know what I mean? He did a podcast. Now he's eating breakfast. OT, listen, I want to say thank you so much for being here tonight, man. I know that it is late and we are on totally different time zones here, but it is an honor to have you here. The people of Twitter love your commentary. They love your opinion. They love your takes. Let people know where they can find you on Twitter, and we hope you'll join us again real soon in the future.
Hey, definitely. Thanks so much for inviting me. This was crazy. I was sleepy at the beginning, but hey, Dan, you guys brought the fire. So this was a lot of fun.
I promised you that.
Yeah. My Twitter handle is I always forget this thing. But anyhow, you can find me on Twitter. Just type OT. Twitter is my main space, and you also can find me on WoolleyGamer's show, Company of Gamers. On normally it's on Saturday.
Awesome. OT, thank you so much, and you're outstanding on that. Look forward to your takes this upcoming week. And then I've got my buddy here, Omar Karaba, who's apparently, Karaba, I knew, okay, I'm well aware of how you run an outstanding Twitter space. But from all the super chats and all the talk in the chat, I didn't know you were the space god. So you have a new name that you have to add to your Twitter handle. So, Omar, let people know where they can find you, and I really appreciate you being on the show. It's been outstanding.
Yeah, that nickname, you got Persona to thank for that. And after Persona, they started running with it. Hey, shout out to you, shout out to the panel. This was freaking awesome. I knew it's going to be a great show when I hear your introduction. Like, you were effed up in a good way.
I appreciate that.
People can find me at Caravan_Job on Twitter, and they can also find me tomorrow doing my own show, which the name is going to be Game Slayer. And
nice.
I am what's the name? Wraith The Emperor. It's actually one of my co-hosts on that show. So looking forward to that. And again, thanks for having me, and see you guys.
Appreciate that, Omar. Thank you. And then my buddy here, Jez7780. Listen, I got news for you. This is what happens when you got New Yorkers. It doesn't matter. That's why when Jez is like, I'm going to be a little late, I'm like, honestly, Jez, it don't matter, bro, because when you come in, you make a presence known immediately. So, Jez, outstanding to have you and your takes. Love Grind My Gears on Monday night. Like Omar was saying, when you had Sick on, it was absolutely amazing. Great show, as usual. Let people know where they can find you. And, of course, hopefully when Mooch shows the bat symbol, you'll keep answering. I appreciate that, Jess.
No problem, man. Thank you so much for the invite. I get excited, man. But the Friday nights, I was just like, oh, man, there was like, decorations and stuff. We're getting ready for Halloween. The kids
yes.
Were like, so I was like,
love Halloween.
All right.
Yes,
I love Halloween too. But yeah, so thank you so much for the invite and the Mooch signal, and thank you for coming on the Gaming Grindhouse on Monday.
Absolutely,
that celebration 2 weeks ago was awesome.
Amazing, great show.
Yeah, it was such a great time, and we have a great time on Monday nights. It's at 8:30, the Gaming Grindhouse. It is awesome, and Frog's Dope Gaming there, and I get some guests on there. I'm gonna get these guys on there, Karaba and OT. And get these guys on there, and it is it's that time. And then I do the Grinds My Gears, and I've been streaming a lot. I've been playing a lot of just putting up some gaming content. So I have some games that I'm playing currently. It's just so easy on the PlayStation. You just like boom, just upload. I even did a friggin' what is it, the Share Factory. It was like so easy. You just edit some stuff together, put some clips, and upload them. So just putting some of the stuff there and streaming some things. But check out the channel at Jez7780. GMG Grinds My Gears.
Appreciate that,
I'll have
Jez.
a Grinds My Gears. So thank you again.
Absolutely, buddy. And then I'll do a couple quick plugs, and then I'll remind everybody. Yes, please hit that like button, guys. Hit the subscribe button, too, please. There's a great little graphic that comes up. But nonetheless, I do want to plug BRAP, Basement Radio Arcade Podcast, Wednesday nights, 9 p.m. And then you've got the great Xbox. Oh, wow. Omar.
Sorry about that.
That's okay, Omar. It was interesting. I actually thought we were at war. I didn't know what was going on. I thought we would have to take cover.
It was like a train station.
Right? I didn't know what it was. I thought it was like, take cover. No, nonetheless, I want to say a shout out to the great Xbot448 who does next podcast Thursday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern time. Shout out to Xbot448 all over the place. Twitter, YouTube, you mentioned it, he's there. And then you've got the great _Crap Gamer over on Twitter, and then you have Crap Gamer Reviews on YouTube. So check out Crap. He's got two shows a day, or not 2 shows, pardon me, 2 videos a day, and he does an outstanding job. Quick reminder for the 272 still here. Tomorrow, I'm going to be on ACS Husk channel, and it's going to be fantastic. It's over on the same, I believe He co-shares it with WilmyHood and all the Fork crew out there. I'm doing the creator content. It's around Mooch. It's all about the creator. So he does a special on one person a month, and I'm this month so special. I'm honored to be a part of it. So it's going to be fantastic. It's going to be 6 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow, and I'll be on ACS Husk's channel. Outstanding to be there. And guys, I did mention it before. I will say it one more time. We are going to have a lot of great things, couple surprises for you guys next week on the channel. Stay tuned here, and please do go over and check out the Mooch78 on twitch.tv. We are going to be doing a regular Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday schedule from here on out starting next week. And like I said, I've done a lot of new things. Twitch, the entire landscape looks different. Got a huge surprise next week, and we've got a new show coming on this channel starting the week after. So guys, please do subscribe. Stop by. There's going to be a ton more content, an absolute ton more content on the channel than just Crossfire. So if you want more Mooch, that's what you're getting. So guys, thank you so much. Enjoy your gaming weekend. Try the Halo tech test if you can. If not, we'll talk about it next week and see what you thought anyways, because I'm sure you're going to be very opinionistic whether you played it or you didn't. That being said, enjoy your weekend, guys, and we'll see you next week. Peace out.
Later.